FM.
An Odyssey sports station.
Broadcasting live from the Just Call Jed studios. Injured? Call Jed.com. This is the official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. The official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550 and WGR550.com. This is a Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update.
The Bills season comes to an end in the AFC Championship and in all too familiar fashion at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs for the fourth time in 5 years. That is the first time in NFL history that a team has been eliminated by another team 4 times in 5 years. Final score 32-29. The Bills had the ball with just over 3 minutes to go with a touchdown to win it, field goal to tie it at the end of the game. Bills got down to a 4th and 5 and a desperation heave to Dalton Kincaid. Falls incomplete. Chiefs get the first, run out the clock, and they are headed to another Super Bowl and a chance to be the first team ever to three-peat, where they will play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles winning earlier in the day, 55-23 over the Washington Commanders. To the Sabres, they are in action tomorrow, off today. It'll be a 7 o'clock puck drop tomorrow in Boston. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile. Kick off 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
It's all Bills, all day. Buffalo Bills Football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
All kinds of time, rolling left, pressure coming now, and Milano has got him and drops him at the 42-yard line. It's a pitch play to Cook, dives, reaches for the end zone, and he's got it! He is in for the touchdown! What an amazing effort by Cook, who is back in the kitchen! Mahomes on a keeper, has a blocker in front, down to the 5, leaping for the end zone, and he's in. A 10-yard touchdown run by Patrick Mahomes, and the lead goes back to the Chiefs. Allen looking, fires, and it's complete to Curtis Samuel for the touchdown! 4th and goal is good for Buffalo! This is a 35-yard attempt for Butker from dead center. Snap by Winchester, hold by Ariza, kick is up, and it is good. So with 3:33 left, the Chiefs are up by a field goal, 32-29. Back to pass, they blitz Allen, and he's in trouble. He throws it down the field, and it's dropped. It's dropped. Dalton Kincaid had a chance to catch it, and he couldn't get to the football.
You're listening to Jeremy and Joe on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550.
Yeah, hey.
Well, here we are again.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Windy one today.
It is windy out there. It's cold.
I saw, checking last night, that at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., it'll be 22 degrees outside with a real feel of -2.
Today?
Yeah. 35 winds, 62 gusts. Yeah.
So
keep your hat on.
Here comes the darkness of winter and assorted things. Bills lose to the Chiefs. We are with you on a not victory Monday. It's an end of season Monday. Expect to take a lot of phone calls from you. Start to plot the course of the offseason. There will probably be some shouting along the way. Just that's normal. You know, it's part of the process here. Some yelling from you, perhaps some from us. Bills lose in a way that I want to say is predictable. I don't know. There's a million things to say from this game. My number one belief is that everyone had all of their priors confirmed. Whatever you thought going into this game is what you think.
Mm-hmm. Is that because there wasn't one specific thing that is the reason they lost, that it was a bunch of things?
It was a bunch of things. It was pass defense. It was weapons not making plays for Josh. It was play calling. It was officiating. It was your first-round pick, Kyer Elam, being a target. It was, I mean, whatever you thought going in.
A pass rush, if you want it. Maybe,
Like whatever I think whatever you thought going in is what you think coming out. And I'm not saying that is like you're wrong. I went into this game really worried about their pass defense. And that's before Benford got hurt. And I'm not convinced that if Benford plays the whole game that it's any different. They were not afraid to throw on Benford. He had good coverage. He had the one breakup on a play where Mahomes had an incomplete pass early was Benford making a great play. But I don't think they were afraid of Benford. I don't think the Chiefs were afraid of anybody out there. So, I mean, Patrick Mahomes had the best day of his career from a success rate standpoint, which means based on down and distance and yards needed to complete a play or to have a good play, he had the best day of his life. What are you going to do? What can you say? The Bills' pass defense is a disaster in this game every year. Every single year. They are a disaster in this game. And even saying that, they got to stop and got your offense on the field with a chance. And it's 2 straight years. You have the ball against the Chiefs, down 3, and you don't get any points. Not you don't get the touchdown. You could have won the game. They could have won the last 2 games with all their problems on the final possession. And in both cases, they didn't even get the tie. So you could say a lot of things about that. Last year it's a Diggs drop. This year it's a Kincaid drop. Okay. It's maddening. It's maddening. It's tough. There's a lot to say about a lot of different things. There's Patrick Mahomes with a better team. The Chiefs are the better team. I don't think that's debatable. If you were high on the Bills this year, good. They're a good team. Mahomes has more help for him out there offensively, and he has a better defense, and he has a defensive coordinator that every single postseason, I mean, the defensive coordinator gave up near 30 points again, but, he makes one play when he needs one play, or 2 plays, or 3 plays. What you have, Joe, I can see the future. It's 2028. The Bills will lose to the Chiefs by 4 points in the AFC Championship game, and Twitter will be awash and people just writing the word Spags. That's it. That's our life. That's everybody's life. That's how we live now. Yeah. Oh, wow, Spags did it again.
Spags.
Great. Cool. They got a guy. They got a guy that does it. Held them to a field goal 2 years in a row, holding that offense to give your offense a chance, and your offense can't score the points. So I don't think there's too much appetite to blame the offense when they put up 29 or 30 or whatever. But, these games are not static. They are back and forth, and you've got problems on both sides of the ball. I'm sure we'll soon move to, transition year. It's not like their window is closed, but it takes an awful lot of work to get back here where they are. And eventually they will have to beat that team, and someday, they will need to have any answer to stop that guy from throwing it all over them, which he does every single time.
Even in seasons where they're not even that good at it. That great at it.
Right. Oh, it's just the linebackers are hurt. Sure it is.
Yeah,
sure
not anymore.
Is that it? Now it's the safety in the corner are hurt?
It really makes last year look a lot different.
What will it be next year? What will the reason be next year? That he throws for a career high, success rate, EPA, you name it. You don't have any answers for that dude in the playoffs throwing the ball. He threw to Juju Smith-Schuster. He sure threw to Xavier Worthy. He threw to Hollywood Brown. He threw to Travis Kelce. He threw to DeAndre Hopkins. Like, what answers do you have? It's another year, and it's the same. So here we go. To the offseason we go.
They actually took Kelce away in this game. Or did they? Or did they just have everything else was working? They just didn't need Kelce.
Right.
Could have really been what happened. I don't know. I feel like my immediate takeaway watching that game yesterday, and especially after that 4th down call by the Chiefs defense, which, by the way, is twice in a row because in the regular season meeting, remember, they called the right defense. Allen just bailed them out of it because he scrambled. That as long as these two teams are going to exist with these staffs, if Reed and Spagnuolo are in Kansas City, they're always going to have the advantage of play calling.
Yep.
There's just, and you can want to fire McDermott. I don't think there is better. Reed is arguably the best offensive play caller in NFL history. So Joe Brady's good, right? He's had a really good season, but you can't do better than Reed, it feels. And Spagnuolo, like, I don't know, he's what is the fourth down play yesterday? The fourth down play is completely disguised what was coming. Completely disguised it. Allen did not see the blitz coming in any way. And when do you get those play calls in a critical moment like that from the Bills coaching staff on defense? Just, I don't know. Their blitzes, by the way, you feel like you see them coming a mile away. Not always, but can I at least make that a wash? Spagnuolo against McDermott and Babich or whoever the Bills' defensive play caller is going to be. Like, he doesn't go anywhere because he's at an age where he's not going to get a head coach job. Reed isn't going anywhere because he might have been considering it 2 years ago, and now he's like, I might hang around. I might catch Belichick here.
Right.
I don't see either of those two going anywhere, and I feel like as long as these two teams meet over the years, that team on the other side is going to have the advantage with X's and O's and with play calling and like in-game coaching. Play calling more so than like game management.
Well,
but
to the play calling point, how about this? Like Spagnuolo draws up and blows up that play. What's the play? It's a shocker throw behind the line of scrimmage for the Bills. Their offense is built out of screens and bubbles and orbits. And they can't. I thought this, again, like, we're all just going to confirm our priors today, so I'll tell you what mine were. I didn't think they could pass the ball down the field effectively on really good defenses. I thought they got away with one in Baltimore. They ran the ball so much and got a little conservative against Baltimore because they couldn't pass the ball. And here Josh is throwing prayers to Keon Coleman down the field. Absolute prayers.
yeah.
Dalton Kincaid and Josh never on the same page. What's the opposite of Kelsey and Mahomes? It's Allen and Kincaid. The amount of times he's throwing to Kincaid and it's either nowhere near or Kincaid doesn't make the catch. Last week, it's the second half. What's the one play that doesn't hit? And because of that, they're punting. It's Allen trying to hit Kincaid.
Yep.
And Kincaid not coming up with it. I mean, there's a million things to say. There's a million things. And I don't think it's any one person's fault. You know, it's the kind of day where it's like, I sit here and tell you, I never liked the Kincaid pick, but what does that get anybody? You know, what do we do with that?
Yeah.
So it's Chiefs and Eagles, and the Bills will limp into the offseason looking for answers, waiting for an update on Christian Benford, which was an ugly scene, a scary scene, and I wonder what comes of that, because he was obviously in concussion protocol all week and then left with a concussion. That's bad news.
Yeah.
So,
and he looked like he was out on his feet.
It was bad. It looked, yes.
They were holding him up, and then, like, just even him on the cart.
Yep.
Just, like, did not look good at all for him.
It is Buffalo Bills Football Monday. We'll get calls in 803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. Football Monday, not Victory Monday. Football Monday brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. I listened to a lot of post-game. I've seen a lot of breakdowns. I just think you have too many passes behind the line of scrimmage. And how many times did you watch this game and see every single Kansas City Chiefs defender on the screen, crunching down on this defense, on this offense, leaning all the way up there? And sometimes they drop back into coverage, but the Bills have no threat to go over the top. No one to stretch you a little bit. They try stretching teams with Kincaid and Knox sometimes. There's another downfield throw to Kincaid that's, just a prayer.
The downfield throws in this game that worked were to Mac Hollins.
I know.
Twice, right? Like, he does end up going 3 of 6 on passes of 15 or more yards, which last week, and part of this is he threw the ball more, though. He threw it 34 times in this game. How many did he throw past 15 yards last week? 1?
Yeah.
But he only threw it, 20 times? So 6, I guess, is fine. And completing 3 of them, okay. But like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 behind the line of scrimmage. Let alone like the ones that are 1, 2 yards. 8 behind the line of scrimmage. And listen, the last play, it does work if he throws it to Shakir.
Yes, it does.
He's wide open, and he's got a blocker in front of him, and if that block holds, then he's got a race to see how many yards he can get there.
And Benjamin Solak showed them running that play a billion times this year with success, and every time Shakir got it, he got it like at least 11 yards after catch.
And really, like, I don't know how much blame you want to put on Allen at that point, because he does run into the pressure and makes it so that the only play is a prayer. And maybe that's part of situational awareness and play calling and knowing your opponent is Spagnuolo. If he knows this in the moment, I'm calling the blitz, and where am I calling it from? I'm calling it from the right side, because where does Josh scramble to?
To the right side.
He always scrambles to the right, and sure enough, the blitz comes from the right. Where does Allen scramble? To the right. Mm-hmm. So that the only play is to throw it up in the air, because if he, again, like, the blitz comes so fast. It is a defensive back coming through untouched. Allen has got zero time to react, zero time to make a decision with the ball. He does make the wrong one, but do I want him to just to know that ball's got to go out to Shakir on the left? Is that the first read of the play?
Yes.
I mean, his eyes never really look anywhere. His eyes go right to the defender.
Yep.
Like, I don't really know you can know who his first read is. Maybe it is Shakir, because he never looks at any receiver. He sees is it Cook coming, the safety, and he scrambles to the right. I mean, but that's one again. That's like that's the play call. That's the play call by Spagnuolo. They just got him. The Bills' play maybe works, but you just got to have the quarterback come out of Josh's hand immediately. And listen, his stat line looks fine, looks good at the end of the day. He was off. He was off from the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, he had, PFF doesn't have this up yet. How many turnover-worthy plays do we think he had in that game?
3.
He had 2 in his first 2 passes, right, that hit defenders right in the chest. He dropped the ball that he picked up with the palm of his hand while somebody was tackling him. He fumbled again on a QB sneak that he jumped over the pile with. Like, it is incredible. It's almost incredible the Bills were in that game. The Bills, there were 5 fumbles in that game. Every single one of them went to the Bills.
Yeah, they got a turnover,
Insane.
but they didn't really force the turnover. This was the biggest gift turnover, where Mahomes and his running back just dropped the ball.
Right.
It's just like last year, where it's only close because you kind of got a gift.
Right. So, like, I wouldn't go too far with Allen being the reason they lost.
No.
Because it didn't make them pay, especially with the turnovers. But, man, like, that last play, okay, like, I know that's tough. I know that's a really difficult position. But, man, it's the AFC Championship. Like, that ball's got to go out to Shakir. Samuel, earlier in the second half, Allen underthrows him, and he can't catch it. If that's in stride, same as Shakir, he's got a race to the end zone. I don't know if he wins it, but he's got nothing in front of him. It's just Curtis Samuel in open field, but Allen underthrew him. So he was fine. He was good even at times. Like, he made some great throws. The Mac Hollins throw at the end of the first half is an unbelievable pass. And fitting that ball into Samuel in the end zone. Like, Allen was good, don't get me wrong, but, man, it was not clean from him. He got away with a lot in that game.
803-0550 on one of those Mac Hollins throws. Mac Hollins on the touchdown before the half had a half yard of separation from Trent McDuffie. And Next Gen Stats posted this. Josh Allen's 517 passing yards when targeting a receiver in a tight window, less than 1 yard of separation, most in the NFL this year. Mm-hmm. It's your quarterback making great throws to guys that are barely open.
Yeah, elite pass.
He led the league in that. Throws to a tight covered receiver, 517 yards this year. So, hey, man, you know what I'm going to say. Same thing I've said for 4 years. I'll say it again, although this time around we might be a little more on the, got to find answers in the secondary. The pass defense just not good enough again. And I'm sure Sean McDermott's name will come up on this show. I've never thought the Bills would have much of an appetite to make a change there. Of course, everyone's got a breaking point. I just don't know what Terry Pagula's would be for Sean McDermott getting them to this spot, and then in this game always having absolutely no answers for what the other team does. So we'll get some calls in. Paul in St. Louis will lead us off on this Football Monday. Hey, Paul. Good morning.
Hey, guys. How are you? Well, once again, kind kind of tough here in St. Louis because all the Kansas City fans, but that's besides the point. I just thought it was ironic. The beginning of the season, we let KC get our move up on our pick for Xavier Worthy, and Xavier Worthy had an excellent game yesterday. You could just really appreciate the separation that he had amongst our defense. I'm going to finally sum this up. We definitely got outcoached. We definitely got outplayed. The score, the 3-point difference doesn't really justify how we played and how that game went. So, again, I'd like to hear your comments on the Xavier Worthy deal. And, as a kid, you never give your opponent the better hand. So I'd like to hear your comments. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. One thing about the Worthy pick, you could even change the way that it played out. Let's say they traded to the pick in front of the Bills and took Worthy. I would be sitting here saying they got aggressive for a guy they liked and they nailed it. And he absolutely made them better. 6 for 85 and a touchdown in this game. And he runs the ball for them, and you best believe the Bills had an idea where he was on every single play. He's a player they have to worry about on every single play. And again, it doesn't have to be about him versus Keon Coleman, but the difference is when you are defending the Bills, what do you do with Keon Coleman? You just take a corner and say just stick with him. It's not two people worrying about him on every play. It's not going to need help to that side on that play. Keon Coleman saw tons of single coverage this year and had a decent season. But right, trading with the Chiefs for that pick, I needed 3 seconds at the time. Again, we're all just confirming our priors here. I thought it was a terrible idea. It remains a terrible idea. It was a terrible idea at the time. The defending it was weak because even if it's it's an even trade, you're behind them when it's even. I can't make deals where I'm staying behind them. Mm-hmm. Never should have done it. Never should have done it. If they get him from somebody else, it's fine. You're not doing it on my watch. There's no world that was a good idea. And they traded down, and they got a receiver they liked, and they got a guy who was inactive yesterday. Mm-hmm. So, what? It was a bad idea.
It was a bad idea. It was.
He's also a piece that probably would work well in this offense.
That's where,
he might be.
To me, it's two separate arguments, both of which I don't like. I think the more important one, the number one reason you don't do it has nothing to do with the player. It is, they want something, and I'm going to. But you're not getting extreme value on the offer in the first place. I'm going to confirm that they're going to get what they want.
Yeah. Versus
the alternative of maybe they don't. I'm going to enter the unknown of they might not get him. They want this pick because they think they need it. And if they thought we weren't taking him and they thought that they could get him at the next pick, they'd trade with that, whatever. You're entering the unknown of, hey, maybe they don't get what they want. And if you're sitting there at that pick and you don't love anything, to me, then the greatest value is the one team you can't get over. Let me not help them. Let me not make sure that they're going to, maybe they do anyway, but I'm not going to make sure and confirm it 100% that they're going to get what they want. And then the secondary part for me is, there's Worthy yesterday yelling on the field afterwards, like they didn't want me. They skipped over me. Why?
Too small?
Why don't they want a player like that? They yesterday, I maybe now they will. I hope, what I want out of them at some point is that player.
Speed.
I want speed. I want a guy where you saw Elam versus Worthy one-on-one, and Elam is playing
15 yards off.
He is
terrified.
I got to imagine that was coaching too. Dude, just back up. Don't let anything beat you over the top. And Worthy's lined up on him. It's the easiest route in the world. I'm just run 8 yards and stop. And you're going to be 5 yards that way because you're so afraid of my speed. You're so afraid I'm going to beat you over the top. And there's the gadget plays with him. He made, you might not think that was a catch yesterday. It was very close. I think I would have sided with it. Wasn't. But it was really close. He made contested catches down the stretch of the year. He made one against Houston last week. He's turned into a complete receiver. But even that's beside the point. Just what the speed. The Bills are so slow. Did you see the Cooper route earlier in the game where he had some space and he turned to the outside and ran upfield, everyone I was watching the game with all made the same noise and at the same time went, wow, he is slow.
Yep.
Like Cooper, who is supposed to be your downfield threat on this team right now, it felt like it feels like it's one of a million things. It might be 15th on my list of the things to get to today. And I wasn't planning it in the first segment, but the Chiefs want to be faster than the Bills do. That's been consistent.
Yep.
That's been consistent.
And the Bills want to run the ball, 6 offensive linemen. And on one drive in this game, they were excellent at it. One amazing drive. Cook looked great. He gives them their punch in that spot. And that the shame of it is, if they get the 4th down that ultimately goes against them on the tush push, we haven't even gotten to the tush push disasters from this game.
Crazy stats.
But if they get that tush push, what are they doing? They're playing from in front. And they're probably loading up 6 offensive linemen and handing it off 7 more times. It just is kind of shocking that the Bills, with Josh Allen, look not quite well built enough to come from behind against a really good team. I mean, Mac Hollins was your best weapon on the day in the passing game. Mac Hollins. I feel bad for Dalton Kincaid. I mean, a week after Mark Andrews has a drop that he's going to wear forever. I'm not so sure Kincaid's is quite that level. It wasn't that easy of a catch. It wasn't also like to tie the game.
He also won't get the benefit of the doubt because he doesn't have the resume that Mark Andrews
No, he doesn't. In fact, not only does he not have the resume, but, I mean, he's not a big part of this offense.
No, you had 3. The Bills' last 3 first picks in that game yesterday gave you nothing.
Yeah.
Kincaid, Coleman, Elam. You can even say actively hurt them, but they gave you nothing.
And that's the difference for me between the Chiefs and the Bills. There are 2: coaching and what they get on the draft. Trent McDuffie versus Kyer Elam is a massive, massive gap.
They jumped the Bills for that.
Right now, Worthy versus Coleman. Edge that way. Who else did they get? George Karlaftis in the 2nd round. Mm-hmm. They've nailed a couple of picks in there and completely remade their defense, and they've just hit the draft where the Bills really kind of haven't in the same spots. The Bills remain really good, but these are the edges. These are the margins. It's Buffalo Bills Football Monday. Give us a ring if you want. Comment on the Facebook or whatever, the YouTube page. We can all yell at each other in the comments. It's a good time. We look tired, I bet. It was a long night. Jeremy and Joe, give us a ring. We'll talk about it on a Buffalo Bills Football Monday as the Chiefs do it again, and we're back in the same spot here on WGR.
It's listening to Jeremy and Joe, live from the Just Call Jed studios. Injured? Call Jed.com. WGR Sports Radio 550. The official voice of the Buffalo Bills, WGR Sports Radio 550 and WGR550.com. This is a Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update.
The Bills season ends in Kansas City, a familiar feeling. This time it happens in the AFC Championship. Final score 32-29. The Chiefs win over the Bills, the first team to eliminate another team in the playoffs 4 times in a 5-year span in NFL history. The Bills get a great game from James Cook. He had 16 touches for 134 yards and added 2 touchdowns, including an incredible one on 4th and goal where he got in getting hit at the 2-yard line. Matt Collins, 3 for 73 and a touchdown, led the Bills in receiving on the day. Allen's stat line looked pretty good. 237, 2 touchdowns, added 39 yards on the ground. But a lot of failed QB sneaks. The Bills also got a lot of fumble luck on the day, a lot that goes into it. Patrick Mahomes, his first multi-rushing touchdown game of his career in this one. He had 43 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. The most efficient day for any Chief on that front. Chiefs win. They advance to the Super Bowl. They will play the Philadelphia Eagles the second time in the last couple of years. The Eagles got there by rolling the Washington Commanders 55-23. Saquon Barkley, 3 touchdowns in the game. The Commanders season ends in Jaden Daniels' first year. So it's Chiefs and Eagles. Kansas City, a small favorite with that line opening. -1, 1.5, depending on where you look. Sabres are off today. They're in action tomorrow. They will be in their first of a 4-game homestand. It'll be against Boston tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet Sports headlines. Kick off 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
Call or text WGR at 803-0550 or post on X at WGR550 and get connected to Jeremy and Joe now. Brought to you by Northtown Kia. Check out the 2025 Kia K4 sedan. Named finalist for the 2025 North American Car of the Year. It's all Bills, all day. Buffalo Bills Football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Hand off to Cook. Going to bounce it to the outside. Gets the edge. And the Cook is in the kitchen for a 6-yard touchdown run. The Bills go tempo and have this Chiefs defense with their hands on their hips.
Chris Brown on the call. One of James Cook's touchdowns. Highlights of the game brought to you by Northland Workforce Training Center. Train for what's next. Time for some Skyworks stats of the game brought to you by Skyworks Equipment Rental, building America from the ground up. Joey, you want the QB sneak stats?
Yes. Crazy numbers on the Bills and their failure in this game to sneak. Or if you want to say the Chiefs stopping them.
The Chiefs had given up 31 consecutive quarterback sneak push first downs going in. So it seemed like a good idea.
So Allen went 2 for 5 on QB sneaks. 3 is the most sneaks stopped versus any quarterback in a game since at least 2017. Allen was 20 of 21 on the year entering the day. The Chiefs had allowed 32 of 32 going back to 2022. And they stopped it 3 times.
Short yardage killed the Bills in this game. They failed on 2 two-point conversions and could not convert on these tush pushes. One of them they probably did get, and the spot was bad. I knew we were all in for hell when I saw the official on the top of the screen, like, okay, that's a first down. And then the official on the bottom of the screen, that doesn't look like a first down. So, good times. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550 to join us. It's Jeremy and Joe on a Buffalo Bills Football Monday. You can give us a ring. You can text us, tweet us, call us, make a comment, stream us on YouTube, see our sad faces, all that good stuff. We'll go next to Mike in Tonawanda. Hey, Mike. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. First, originally I was going to ask you guys, where do we even go from here? Because it wasn't injuries. I mean, we had the receivers, we had everybody healthy, and it's like Groundhog's Day all over again. But secondly, while you were talking about the tush push thing for a second, at any point, why didn't we adjust? Because they said he kept going left. why didn't we go right with the tush push or, I don't know, hand it off or have some different play call? They kept going back to it, and when you saw they kept blowing it up on the left side, I don't understand why not switch it out or go to the other opposite side. That doesn't make no sense to me at all.
I don't know. On one of them going left, there was one especially where Allen, it almost looked like he jumped laterally, like he was trying to go further left than normal. Mm-hmm. And if they finished 2 of 5 on QB sneaks, is one of those two the one where he went way right? I mean, that wasn't a sneak. That was a quarterback draw, I suppose.
Yeah.
Then they ran an option play to Cook. I mean, listen, this is an offensive line that was supposed to be, and is, the best they've had in the Allen era. And they, on at least one drive, had their way with the Chiefs defense, ground them into dust. And outside of that drive, they did not win up front. I don't think their line won up front consistently. How come whatever. The Bills scored 2 fourth-down touchdowns in this game. 4th and goal. Cook needing to make an incredible play. Allen needing to find Samuel in the back of the end zone. And this is a team that offensively, I think they had a day where they were just barely getting by. The touchdown pass to Mac Hollins at the end of the first half. Like, it's a great throw and a great catch. He's covered, of course. And the Chiefs take their chances on that, and they lose. But I just feel like the offense was getting by the skin of its teeth the whole day.
Yeah. They had the one drive where they didn't throw a pass, and they just bullied them down the field. That was the James Cook legacy drive at the time. I don't know if it still is because they lost, but he breaks up the 33-yard run. There were holes that he was running through. He ends it with the touchdown at the end. But they ran the ball well on that drive. The sneak thing is weird to me. They really did go left almost every time. I mean, Allen, the one of the two he succeeded on, maybe one was when he went to the right. The other one is when he just leapt over the pile and put the ball out and almost got it taken away. Incredible that it didn't. I mean, that's how desperate they were on those sneaks. And I saw a lot of why aren't they going to plan B in these situations? I don't know that you have a plan B when on a play you haven't missed on all year. You know what I mean? I guess you could just call a run play. I mean, you've got a whole playbook, but they've not needed a plan B all year. They hadn't missed on it. They missed on it once the whole season. They had never missed their QB sneak numbers by season. They have, since Allen's been their quarterback in 2018, here are how many sneaks have been stopped each year on Josh Allen. 0 in 18, 3 in 19, 1 in 20, 2 in 21, 0 in 22, 3 in 23, 1 in 24 before yesterday, and then 3 yesterday.
Yeah. It's a year's worth of sneak
stops.
That's
insane. And I don't know. Is that Spagnuolo? I don't know. Is that they knew, hey, this guy goes left on every single sneak, we're going to load up on the left? I don't know.
But even when you load up like that, they would have known he goes left on every one.
It shouldn't matter.
The entire year.
Everyone knows where the Eagles are going on every single sneak. You still can't stop it.
Yeah, it's tough. Thinking about the defense.
I also believe he got the first down.
Me too.
So
I want to, of course, not get all on the offense here because the defense was a mess. Let's go all the way back to training camp. What is one of the stories of this year for this defense? Taylor Rapp gets hurt, and that is unfortunate. If he plays in this game, maybe things are a little bit different. But the safety position, that is something that pretty much from the start of the season did not go as planned, right? DeMar Hamlin is a starting safety. You signed Mike Edwards. He was hurt.
Never
got off the ground. Cole Bishop is a draft pick that only played when you were desperate. You went from Hyde and Poyer at the end of their careers, fine, but those two were stalwarts back there, and you always knew they were going to be back there for a long time. And the transition at safety was a bit shaky at best. The plan, there's no way the plan went according to plan, I should say. But, I mean, they were a bottom 10 pass defense this year. The Bills, a bottom 10 pass, that doesn't ever happen with a McDermott defense, and that's where their transition left them. Mm-hmm. Even with those corners that we think are so good, Benford and Douglas, a bottom 10 pass defense.
Yeah. Well, Douglas, I'm not sure. I mean, he probably didn't have the year he had last year.
No, that's right. Right. Last year he had a lot of high splash plays. He had turnovers, and this year not as much.
Yeah.
Jay in Washington, D.C. Hey, Jay.
Yeah, how y'all guys doing? I know y'all down right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to preface by saying I've called y'all before. I'm an Eagles fan, and to be honest with you, I was rooting for y'all because, to be honest, I thought y'all would be the more easier opponent. But now that we playing the Chiefs, we don't have a chance in hell in winning that game. So, if put all your money on the Chiefs, they three-peating. But my biggest thing is with the Bills is, why don't y'all use, or the coaches use, Cook more? 13 carries, 82 yards, and like one of you guys said, y'all bullied him on that one drive. I'm looking at James Cook's carries for the season. Only 2 carries this year of 20. 2 games in which he had 20 carries, and his high was 23. A lot of 15s, 14s. One of you guys mentioned that the Bills don't want to be fast. Cook's one of your fastest players. When he gets out there in the open, he's gone. I just don't understand why the Bills don't use him more. I think they underutilizing this guy. I know he's a running back, but he's 25 years old. You know what I'm saying? I just think he's a big threat that the Bills are not utilizing more. He's a really good player when he gets his hands on the ball.
Yep.
He makes things happen. I don't get it.
Yeah, I thought they're slow to get him going in this game. The opening drive, right?
He only had 4 carries in the first half.
Yeah, the opening drive is an Allen carry on first down, and then 2 incompletions, and all right, there you go. There's your slow start again. They were fortunate to get a field goal in the second drive. 4 carries in the first half, 9 in the second half, and how many would have been on that drive? 8?
Yeah. No touches on the final drive either.
No touches on the final drive.
He averaged 8.6 yards per touch in the game, and he didn't get a touch on their final drive. They did run the ball on the final drive. They handed it off to Ty Johnson, though.
Right. Part of the reason he doesn't get to 20 is because they have 2 other running backs they like. That's I'd say the number one reason. This team was fairly committed to the run in most games. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. It is Buffalo Bills Football Monday. We have a couple open lines. Bills Mafia, let's chat about it. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about this the next week, months, all that, and whatever. It's a little bit of coping mechanisms today. A little bit of let's not. I don't know. You can freak out if you want. I just know that there's some things I'll wait until Wednesday to say. Should I? It feels like you're gonna let the.
I think you could just say him again on Wednesday.
Okay, all right. 803-0550. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
All Bills, all day. Buffalo Bills football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
I got so much pride in our guys showing up each and every day, working as hard as they can. Guys truly adopted what we talked about this year going into it. Yeah, love these guys.
Bills quarterback Josh Allen, Eye on the Quarterback, is brought to you by Great Lakes Building Systems. We keep an eye on your business so you don't have to. Our business is protecting your business. And that slice of audio from Allen, brought to you by Picasso's Pizza, your game day tailgating headquarters. I see someone on the YouTube comment section has said that Allen outplayed Mahomes, and I'm here for none of that. Let's be real. Allen did not play a bad game. He did not play his best game, and he certainly did not play a better game than Patrick Mahomes did. However, there's a lot of reasons for that. You might always have thought that Patrick Mahomes had a better ecosystem, right, than Allen. Right now is the biggest gap I think it's ever been. The ecosystems for the quarterbacks. Mahomes
okay, go ahead.
This is play caller. This is defense as well. Mahomes has a defense that gets him the ball and gets off the field and makes the big play. This is 2 years in a row. Mahomes against the Bills. 2 years in a row, Mahomes didn't have to make throws to win the game. He didn't have to have the fourth quarter clutch drive. Why? His defense got the stops.
Yeah.
The last 2 seasons. So you can make it about defense. You can make it about pass catchers. Right? What did the Chiefs do? Both these teams were desperate for pass catchers, looking like they had nothing. And they went out and got DeAndre Hopkins, and the Bills got Amari Cooper, and neither of those two made that big of a difference. What happened for Mahomes? His rookie came up and became a 10-target guy, 6 for 85 and a touchdown in the AFC Championship game. The Bills can't complete a pass to Keon Coleman. So I think Mahomes' ecosystem is far better and has never looked like this big of a gap.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I would add to that, though, is I feel maybe you disagree that yesterday it didn't matter, but the Bills have a far better offensive line.
Yes, they do.
Their play caller might not be Andy Reid, but I think he's as close to Andy Reid as they've really ever had. And the run game, maybe this is a test, though, that the run game really isn't that important, because I'm looking at like success rate from yesterday. Mahomes doesn't have the run game, Allen does. And if the run game is supposed to help your ecosystem as a quarterback, like that didn't show up yesterday, because Cook was good. Cook's success rate was 64%. Hunt and Pacheco were 35 and 20.
Every handoff was a gift.
Like, the Bills stopped the Chiefs in the run game, and it did not matter when Mahomes dropped back to pass.
The Chiefs were keeping the Bills in the game by handing the ball off. I couldn't believe how many times they handed it off.
Yeah.
Thank you. 803-0550 and 1-888-552-550. Mahomes' success rate in this game was in the 99th percentile. No, Josh Allen did not outplay Patrick Mahomes in this game. Of course, Allen's not really much to blame for this game either. And on we go. 803-0550. Sal Capaccio will join us. We'll take your phone calls and keep kicking around the postmortem on the obituary on the Bills season, I suppose is what I should say. It's Jeremy and Joe here on WGR.
on the West Her Hotline.
The insiders call the West Her Hotline.
Happy to welcome our man, Ross Tucker.
Al Michaels with us, pleased as always to be joined by Eric Wood.
On the West Her Hotline is Buffalo Bills General Manager Brandon Beane.
When the players call, when the coaches call, when the insiders call, the West Her Hotline. Brought to you by the West Her Automotive Group. Welcome to West Her, New York. Sports Radio 550 WGR Buffalo and WKSE HD2 Niagara Falls, Buffalo, 98.5 FM.
An Odyssey sports station.
Broadcasting live from the Just Call Jed studios. Injured? Call Jed.com. This is the official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. The official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550 and WGR550.com. This is a Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update.
The Bills season comes to an end in an all too familiar feeling against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the fourth time in 5 years that the Chiefs have eliminated the Bills. That is the first time that has ever happened in NFL history. No team has eliminated another team 4 times in that span. The final score, 32-29. The Bills fought back to take the lead in the second half. There was a controversial 4th and 1 sneak that looked like it was a first down on many angles, and the one official thought it was, but overruled, and the play went to review, didn't get it. Chiefs took the lead, never gave it back. The Bills did tie it, and then they had the ball, 4th down and 5 at the end. A heaved Dalton Kincaid falls incomplete, and the Chiefs hang on to win. They go to the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and we'll look for the first three-peat in NFL history. They are the first team that's ever won back-to-back Super Bowls and then made a third Super Bowl in a row. So it's the first time that's happened already. They'll play the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles win big over the Commanders, 55-23. Saquon Barkley over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns in that one. Back to the Bills for a moment. From the weekend before the game had took place, Ian Rappaport reported that Joe Brady took himself out of the running for the head coach job in New Orleans, which would mean he will be sticking with the Bills. It's the only vacancy left in the league. Sabres are off today. They're in action tomorrow, the first of a 4-game homestand against the Bruins. That'll be at 7 o'clock at KeyBank Center. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
Well, they're a good football team. They've won 2 Super Bowls. They've been to 7 straight AFC championship games, and that's no excuse. This is a good football team. We got to keep working to get over that hump. There's no doubt about it. So we've won a lot of tough games this year against really good opponents, really good coaches, and I'm proud of this football team for it. So this is obviously a challenge for us. We'll figure it out.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott. It is Buffalo Bills Football Monday. No Victory Monday. Jeremy and Joe with you. Sal Capaccio jumping on the West Her Hotline as we pick through this one. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, guys.
Sean McDermott there says we'll figure it out. Well, I mean, to this point, they have not figured out how to stop an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes passing game. It might have been their worst attempt to do it. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a Tyreek Hill version. Last year, it's about linebacker injuries. This year, Benford and Rapp, no doubt a part of it. But Patrick Mahomes has all the answers to Sean McDermott defenses to this point, it would seem.
No doubt, especially in the first half. They just really struggled to get going and figure anything out. I thought they made some nice, adjustments or whatever they did at halftime to slow down the Chiefs a little bit, but they were already, pretty much in a hole and let the Chiefs kind of dictate and control the game up to that point. The first 3 drives for the Chiefs, touchdown, fumble after a nice drive, touchdown. I mean, after not forcing the Ravens to punt last week, they don't force the Chiefs to punt in the whole first half. They scored 3 touchdowns on 4 drives, essentially. There was a kneel down at the end of the half. And you're right. You just look at the first half, 90 yards, 35, 59, 34. They just could not get them off the field. I mean, I think the Chiefs did not face a third down until at least the second quarter. It might have been even the 4th drive.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously there were There were circumstances, too, that I'm sure led to that. Like you said, you lose Benford early. You don't have Taylor Rapp. I didn't think Cole Bishop, was a problem necessarily. Elam became one, I think, at times last night. But, they didn't have any answers.
How dejected, of course they would be, Sal, after this game, not only because the season is over, but just, I don't know, is it a bewilderment of this is the same team that keeps getting in their way? Like, how much of yesterday after the game for the Bills and for Allen and for McDermott was just, it's the same team again that you can't get over?
Yeah, I think that's got to be part of it. We talked in the locker room about it. We asked players about it, like how much is it that it's this team? And I think you'd get different answers. Like some say, yeah, obviously, it's you see that it's frustrating. You can't beat them. Not that I got that specific answer, but I remember, some people were more on that, while others were, hey, it doesn't matter who it is. You get to this point and it's disappointing no matter who the loss is against. You heard Sean McDermott there in that clip say they're a good team. They've been to 7 straight AFC titles and have 2 straight Super Bowls. Josh Allen said to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. And, that's he was particularly dejected. He could hardly talk at the podium, to be quite honest with you. But I do think that's got to be, part of it here. There's no doubt. It has to be. You get to this point and there's that team again that you have beaten. You have beaten them 4 times in the regular season, but obviously you haven't done it in the playoffs. And it just keeps happening over and over again. And at some point, right, bewilderment, throw your arms up. What are you supposed to do? You obviously have to play different, but they've lost in different kinds of ways every single time.
Sal Capaccio joining us here as we wrap up the Bills and Chiefs. Sal, let's go through the game and how things went wrong, what went right, what went wrong. You've got arrow up, arrow down to get to. We've got the injury report to get to as well. James Cook was very good in this game, and they were slow to get him the ball, and then he doesn't touch the ball on the final drive either. Did you find it a bit puzzling that Cook was so underused despite having so much success?
I did in the beginning of the game. I didn't know why, he was being not as used early in the game. I guess for whatever reason, to open up the game with, Josh Allen on the run, and then a pass, no James Cook, you go 3 and out. I really thought they could run against this team. It took until really the second half. James Cook had 4 carries the entire first half. I didn't know why it took so long to get to him. We haven't heard from Joe Brady. He doesn't speak after games. And then on the final drive, I think I don't think he was on the play. I don't think he was on the field on the fourth quarter, on the 4th down, correct?
I think he was only on the field for the 3rd down play. I think all the others were either Ty Johnson, and maybe it was just Ty Johnson.
Let me go back to those plays here, and I'm reading. So Johnson has the run. They had success. I guess they wanted to run that toss sweep, and that's Ty Johnson's play a lot of times, right? So, okay, you go with that. And then it's scramble, pass, pass, pass. So my guess is pass protection, right? Maybe that's why James Cook isn't out there. But at the same time, he's been a guy that you could check it down to. There's plenty of time on the clock, so sure. I think there's definitely room there for, wondering why that was the case.
Sal Capaccio with us on the Western Hotline. So how did you feel about Allen's game overall? He definitely got away with a lot. There were the first drive, he's throwing the ball right to defenders and it hits the ground. He fumbled it a couple of times and was able to corral it. And he still gets there, right? Like he throw the touchdown to Hollins is incredible. Like he still made some really nice throws and the stats look good. And even the final play, like how far would you go to say Allen looked a little off in this game?
Yeah, I think he did early on, especially. I think he settled in as the game went on, but early on, first 2 plays, like, okay, what are you looking at? What do you see there? It's a loud environment. I think it takes, when you want to go to a check, takes a little bit longer, a little tougher sometimes. I think that might have been the case on the final play as well, talking about that. But yeah, his game wasn't great. It wasn't. It wasn't terrible. There's no doubt about that. 64%, 65% passing. You'd like to see that maybe a little bit higher, but running wise, I thought that was maybe the big difference in this game, where Allen has been so good at running the ball against the Chiefs, even the playoffs. But in this game, he was not. They did a great job stopping it. And I think maybe the story of this game for me was the fourth down sneaks and not being able to get them. I mean, obviously not. Maybe there's a lot of stories, but this was a huge point. The Bills just could not run their best play, what they called their best play when they were out in L.A., and they had the situation at the end of the game and didn't score. And Sean McDermott and Joe Brady both said that's their best play in that situation. While they put it at the 1 yard line, the 2-point conversion, they can't get in. And they have a 3rd and 1, they can't get it. They have a 4th and 1, they can't get it. And that, to me, I think the 4th and 1 was the play of the game that ultimately seals the fate. Not necessarily the play at the end, of course. You want Dalton Kincaid, we can talk about it, to come up with it, and you don't know what happens. I think if Josh gets that 4th and 1, you can kind of control the game the rest of the way. And if they score a touchdown, you can go up by 8. And if you at least kick a field goal, they have to score a touchdown on you. But 1 yard, they couldn't get 1 yard.
Yeah.
To me, that was a really big storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sal, it's so odd because they had the drive where Cook ran it so well, and the offensive line, it felt like they were getting into their rhythm, getting into their game script, and they were dominating in that spot. And then so many short yardage situations where they got blown up.
Yeah, and I don't know. We asked a lot of the guys about it, linemen, Josh, and they all just said, hey, look, they had a good plan. They have a lot of big guys. They put big guys on the field for that, and they were going low, grabbing at legs, doing what they could to make sure that they just got them as quickly as possible. But, man, they've been so successful on it all year. It was early on when I think they failed on the 2-point conversion, because that was maybe the second one where they'd failed, if I remember right. And Chris even said on the broadcast, I don't know if you can run that anymore today. They know how to stop it.
Yeah.
And, Josh tried to go to the left on one of them. Maybe it was that play. Tried to go he went over the top the one time where he got it because they just couldn't do the tush push. It's been such a successful play for them. But, yeah, they were not good on short yardage all night long, and I think that was a really big component of, why the game ended up where it did.
Sal, Dalton Kincaid's drop on that 4th down, it ends up being like the Bills' last gasp, really. Yeah. And, the play gets blown up, and Allen makes a heroic kind of throw where, if you look, Kincaid definitely has space. He puts as much on it as he can, and Kincaid doesn't come up with it, which, unfortunately, it's a bit of a theme of the year, especially for those two. For whatever reason, maybe it's more Kincaid drops than not, but those two have not been same page. They've not been able to establish a consistent connection, and it's something that I think plagued them throughout the year. It happened in the start of the second half last week against Baltimore, and here's another spot where, your first-round pick tight end, best pass catcher in the draft, finger quotes, just, I don't know, Sal, he leaves a lot to be desired for what they drafted him for.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were waiting this year for okay, here we go. There's the bust out year. You see when you get a first round tight end and how a lot of these teams are using these really great young tight ends, and George Kittle and Brock Bowers this year and Sam Laporta, and we don't see Dalton Kincaid used like that. The Bills use Dalton Kincaid like just one of the everybody eats guys, right? Which is fine to have that mantra, but we haven't seen him really be a big part of the offense like a lot of these other guys are. And when it has been his turn to make plays, they just haven't been there enough this year. Dalton's going to get a lot of grief and flack and criticism for this play, and no doubt. He deserves it. He should have come up with the catch, and he admitted that at the end of the game. He took accountability in the locker room and said that he needed to come up with that catch. It was not the easiest catch, but it was one where you got to make in that situation. More than anything, that play was kind of busted. Josh, just as you said, heaved it. That play, Connor McGovern said to me that they slid the protection. They slid the protection wrong. Maybe he didn't say they slid it wrong, but they didn't have it going the right way, because what Josh said was the Chiefs, and give the Chiefs a lot of credit here, and Steve Spagnuolo is just amazing at what he does, and he proved it again on that play. Josh said that on his first cadence, he didn't see that they were going to do that. So, he gets to the second cadence. So what they do is they do something to kind of think, to have you show what you're going to do, and then you don't snap it so he can get a picture of it. Well, he does that, so he says, all right, this is what they have going on. Then he gets to it again and snap the ball, and now they do something completely different that they didn't expect. They don't have protection sliding to where they're supposed to, so now he's hurried up immediately. And if you watch the All-22 view, I guess, and I know people posted it, it looks like Shakir is probably open, but Josh starts moving right immediately, and it's like there's no way he can get back to him. Like he's not going to see Shakir there. But to be honest with you, like if the play develops and if Josh stands there just for maybe a half a second longer, he probably has Shakir open in the flat. As it is, he rolls out, and he has to heave it up. There's Dalton Kincaid. From my vantage point, that was coming kind of right at me. Like from my vantage point, I think Dalton was just kind of trying to make himself available, and then he kind of sees the ball coming. It wasn't like he was the primary target or anything. He sees the ball coming his way, so he has to make a body adjustment. He comes back, and then it hits him in the arms, obviously, and it's one he should catch.
What did you think of the other two controversial plays in the game, Sal? The Worthy catch that got reviewed and was held up, the 4th and 1. McDermott, he often doesn't sound like he won't go in on officials, and he didn't quite do that in post-game, I thought, Sal, but I thought he was a little more candid than usual about that should have been a first down. That's a massive play in the game. Like, he gave up the soundbite, which I think maybe was deserved in that spot, though, because I thought that was definitely a first down.
I thought the referee on the Chiefs side marked it a first down.
Yeah.
And I can't tell. I haven't gone back and watched it. And then they marked it short. And then obviously on the review, I think both plays are one of those where whatever they called in the field, they were going to keep, right? I think you could certainly make an argument that you could see in the replay, like a case to overturn them. But we know the league just doesn't do that when it's that close, right? Like they're going to stick with what they called in the field. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When Josh turned his body, that kind of forced the football to not extend forward. And I think that's kind of what ultimately did it for the review on that play. Yeah, it's tough. You could certainly say that it should have been a first down, and I don't disagree with that. Unfortunately, they called it on the field not, and I just don't think they're going to overturn that. As far as Worthy, go ahead.
I was just going to say, on the follow-up on that, do you know what the protocol is, or even is there one when – and I've noticed this in the past where two line judges coming from opposite ends of the field will be off by half a yard,
right.
A yard. Like, this is not the first time that's ever happened. Like, what is the protocol as to who gets to mark the ball if they're different, or is it just whoever gets there first? Because in that one, it looked like they were definitely different by a yard, and the referee that had it shorter was the first one to touch the football, so he's the one, I guess, that gets the mark it?
Maybe. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I can try and find out how they exactly do that. So I've seen it happen many times, too. Like, which guy is the guy? Is it the home sideline guy, right? Is it the wayside? I don't know. I don't exactly know. So it's a good question because it was certainly close. Look, to me, you got to get further than that on that play. And certainly there's an argument to say, like, okay, but they still blew it. But you still got to get further than that. On the Worthy play, I've always hated the changing of the rule that says the ball's allowed to hit the ground. And this goes back years, right? They did this years ago. The Bert Emanuel thing in the late 90s is really what started this, where if you have control and it touches the ground, it's still a catch. I've hated that. Like, growing up, to me, the ball touches the ground, it's incomplete, period. Like, you can't touch the ground. You got to keep it off the ground. That's a catch, right? That's not a catch if it touches the ground. So, according to the rules today, again, I think that it touched the ground. The question is, did the ground aid in the actual catching of the ball? There's certainly an argument to be made there, but I don't know if you could overturn it because the ball never moved, which means that they're saying he secured it against, I guess, like his chest, as he went to the ground and did that. The thing about that play, too, that was right like 20 feet from me, and I thought Cole Bishop intercepted it, and he should have. I mean, Cole Bishop had it in his arms. I had no idea. Like, when they came down, I was, like, surprised. I thought Cole Bishop had it, and then all of a sudden I said, oh, my God, Xavier Worthy's got it. So, like, initially the replay guys, I thought they were reviewing to see if Cole Bishop was down with the ball. That's not what they were reviewing, obviously, but that's how much I thought that Cole Bishop had it and should have been able to intercept that.
That's another area where I was kind of confused on, like, how does that work in this game? Because when I saw the replay, Sal, I thought Bishop was the one with the control when the ball hits the ground, and then after they roll over, Worthy ends up pulling it away from him. So, like, again, that's where I'm if one guy has control when the ball hits the ground, but then the other guy comes up with it, but Worthy didn't have. It's just like that one was another one where it's just like you're asking about rules more than like what actually happened on the play.
I know. And, I've seen a lot of the stuff today and, how calls going the Chiefs' way. And I respect all that. They didn't make enough plays in this game for me to say that, to go there enough. I mean, there's certainly, obviously, like I said, arguments to say that there were a couple of really controversial calls that didn't go the Bills' way. But I think that overall, they just didn't play well enough to win this game, and it shouldn't have come down to that.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. Sal, how about the Barnes Firm injury report? Injured call 1-800-8-million. Christian Benford, of course, scary moment for him, for I think everybody watching as he left the field. We'll get to Benford and any other names you want to mention on the injury report.
He's the only one, as far as I can remember. I don't think I had any other injury updates for anybody on the Bills or even the Chiefs side for that matter. And it was very scary. Obviously, we all saw he was having to be held up on the field. Looked like DeMar Hamlin actually was coming over to make the tackle, and he's the one that hit him. You guys can tell me on the broadcast if that is the case. I think that's what happened. I didn't get a chance to see the exact replay.
It was. Yep.
And then, once that happened, that's early in the game, and you see Kyrie Elam come on the field. There's a big drop off. There really just is between Christian Benford, who a lot of people thought was at least a Pro Bowl level player, if not All Pro. I think he was one of the alternates, but you get the point. To Kyrie Elam, who just hasn't hit yet in the NFL, and hasn't been able to be the guy that they thought he would be, and they attacked him a few times, no doubt about that. That was a critical moment in the game for the Bills to lose Christian Benford.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. Get a phone. You know what? We're up against it. So, Sal, we'll get a final thought here, rather. And I know that you're coming up on the Extra Point show as well to talk about this game. Big picture, this game, some stats, we're seeing them all. The Bills have the most wins in a 6-year span without a Super Bowl appearance. Allen now has the most playoff wins without a Super Bowl appearance. You wonder how this group will come back next year, how he'll come back, what changes will be made, what they feel will need to be made. This is year one of the transition. So where from here?
I don't know. You just keep going, right? That's the theme in the locker room. And you just, lots of guys talking about, well, you got to start over. That's the big thing for me. It's like you climb this mountain. It takes so long to climb the mountain, and then you can't get to the top, and then you got to start over to climb the mountain again. And it takes so long just to get there, just to get to where they were. They hadn't been there in 4 years, Yep. And, they have this. I would say this year was supposed to be a transition year. We know that. The GM said that. A lot of people thought it would be a step back year. I think they're in a better position this year than they were last year as far as, finances and what to do. There's a lot of decisions to be made. They still have their quarterback in his prime who could very well win the MVP. There's a lot of things to still love about their chances. They'll still be one of the best teams in the AFC, if not the NFL, next year. There's no doubt about that. But it hurts now, no doubt. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people still questioning, if they have the right head coach to get them over the hump. I don't know. I'm not here for that conversation. For this team to be in the position they were, I think speaks volumes to what the coaching did this year, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Did you have anyone, by the way, that comes off the top of your head of, yesterday could have been their last game in a Bills uniform? Maybe Von Miller comes to mind because of the contract and the dead cap stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I think Von Miller's one. I looked at Matt Milano's contract the other day. I think it would be pretty hefty to move on from him. I'm not advocating they should. I just wonder, because of the injuries, if that's something at his age. But I thought he played so well towards the end of the year that, I think you want him back next year to be your starting will linebacker. We'll see there. Rasul Douglas, his contract is up. That'll be something, they'll have to take a look at. And then you have some one-year deals like Mac Hollins, right? He had a great game yesterday. Mac Hollins was the Bills' best receiver, made some nice plays. These are, guys like that you have to think about. Von is probably the first one there, and then
Cooper.
I guess
Cooper
I didn't know this.
Way.
What's that?
Amari Cooper too, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. I would say that, I know there's some guys going into their fourth year that they're going to have to address that if they want to, they don't have to, as far as contracts are concerned. Khalil Shakir, and then James Cook. And I guess I didn't see this. Like Dalvin Cook tweeted something like $20 million a year after James had his touchdown.
Good luck with
right?
that.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that. So James was asked about it in the locker room, and he said, he would love to stay in Buffalo. It's out of his hands, but he would obviously love to get a contract extension at some point. But that's not the thing that's right now immediate. But that is something that could happen this offseason.
All right, Sal. Well, we'll see you in a little bit. We'll be listening for the Extra Point Show.
Okay, you got it. Thanks.
Sal Capaccio from his view from Arrowhead. The Bills lose. Jeremy and Joe.
Can we just make that noise like for the next 2.5 hours?
It's funny.
Just that?
We do the whole, boy, what's it going to be like if they're going to the Super Bowl? What will that show even sound like? And we never know. And we always know exactly what this one will sound like.
Yes. We're well practiced on this show.
Yep. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. We are here for you. If you are needing, frustration and anger, there you go. If you're needing some support, sure, we can do it all. We'll continue here on Buffalo Bills Football Monday on WGR.
It's all Call Jed Studios. Injured? Call Jed.com. WGR Sports Radio 550. The official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550 and WGR550.com. This is a Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update.
The Bills fall to Kansas City in the playoffs again. It is the fourth time in 5 years that the Chiefs have ended the Bills season, the third of those four at Arrowhead Stadium, this time in the AFC Championship game. The Bills are not going to the Super Bowl. Their season ends again. The Bills losing 32-29 to Kansas City with another poor defensive performance against Patrick Mahomes. Some of the advanced stats have it as one of his better playoff games of his career, which most of his Bills meetings end up being. He goes 18 of 26, 245, and a touchdown. Also, 2 touchdowns on the ground. That's the first time in Mahomes' career that he's had multi-touchdowns on the ground, playoffs or regular season. Allen, meanwhile, 237, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Did fumble a couple times, but got the ball back on both occasions. The Bills fall by 3 to Kansas City. The Chiefs move on to play the Philadelphia Eagles, the second time in 3 years they'll meet in the Super Bowl. The Eagles win over the Commanders in the NFC Championship game, 55-23. Saquon Barkley, 3 touchdowns in the game, led the way for Philly. That's the Super Bowl in New Orleans, Kansas City and Philly. The coaching news from the weekend, Joe Brady withdrew his candidacy from the New Orleans Saints head coach job, and that's the last vacancy, so Brady should be back with the Bills next season as the offensive coordinator. Sabres are off today. They are in action tomorrow, hosting Boston. First of a 4-game homestand starts tomorrow at 7. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Kick off 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
Call or text WGR at 803-0550 or post on X at WGR550 and get connected to Jeremy and Joe now. Brought to you by Northtown Kia. Check out the 2025 Kia K4 sedan, named finalist for the 2025 North American Car of the Year. It's all Bills, all day. Buffalo Bills football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Looking left, pressure coming. Fires a deep shot over the shoulder. And did he pull it in for a touchdown? Holy cow, Mac Hollins did! It's a 34-yard touchdown strike from Allen to Hollins.
Chris Brown on the call. Highlights of the game brought to you by Northland Workforce Training Center. Train for what's next. Mac Hollins, their best receiver on the day, in a loss to the Chiefs.
Great catch.
It was a great catch. It was a great throw.
Insane throw.
It was an insane throw. Allen, not his best. You know, as I'm watching some of the highlights here and thinking, you might have needed him to be Superman. At one point, I tweeted that. My first text to a friend that said, it's over, it's something I almost never do. Ooh. I never give up on a game and say, like, this is...
You said it at the third play after he threw 2 plays to defenders that both got dropped.
No, it was when Benford went out and they were going to go at Elam, and I thought, it's over. This game is over. I don't know how they're going to make stops in this game. And they got a fumble. They got that fumble, and they were alive again. And then, you know, halftime, they got a touchdown before halftime on a 4th, and they scored 2 touchdowns on 4th and goals. They were looking like they were going to steal it. Yeah. And at 22-21 with the ball, it's like they might steal this game.
And driving right there in Chiefs territory.
Yes, on the 4th and 1 that ultimately did stop short.
Did you hear McDermott on that? Like, he was candid. He said that it should have been a first down, that he thought it was a first down. It was a huge play in the game. The massive play in the game. He also said we had we could have gone up 2 scores there. And I wondered, if he was just talking, like, you know, he's ranting about the refs and maybe it just comes out, or if that was a little window into he would have treated this different than last week.
He would have gone.
He wasn't going to give Mahomes the ball down 1 score.
He would have gone for 2. You're saying
he would have gone for 2.
Yeah, touchdown and go for 2.
You go up 9.
I also feel like during the week he did refer to 8 points as 2 scores. or someone
did he?
did.
Okay.
Because that kind of is 2 scores. You got to get a touchdown and the 2-point conversion. So would they go up 8 or would they have gone for 2? I don't really know the answer to that question. 803-0550 is our phone number. If you want to get in, we'll get a couple calls in.
One other little thing that we could spend like maybe 30 seconds on. Did you know about the blended clock rule before yesterday? Again, I was learning rule like if the defender has control and the other guy like whatever who gets to mark the ball on a 4th down. What? Blended time we're doing?
Yeah.
The clock hits 0 at 2:01. What do you mean blended clock? What if you don't know what I'm just talking about? The 2-minute warning at the first half. The Chiefs have the ball, and there's a 1-second difference, it looks like, between the play clock and the game clock, so they're going to have to run a play. They walk off the field. I'm like, are they calling timeout? It's like, oh, no, it's 2-minute warning. What do you mean it's 2-minute warning? It hit 0 when it was 2:01.
It's close enough.
Right, that's what it felt like. Like, it was 1 second. Whatever, guys. Terrible.
One thing about Allen and his performance in this game, this is not a fantasy football point, but this is an EPA point, and this is a QBR point. Without the rushing touchdowns, his season was not nearly as good. He didn't turn it over. Sometimes not turning it over isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't turn the ball over. They did not get dual threat Josh Allen in this game. They got throw the ball, okay.
Yeah.
Their EPA per play in the pass game was not very good. And if he's not able to improvise, what the Chiefs did, they kept him caged in. He never got loose. And one of the things I'll say about a lot of their plans, when they throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage and everything they do with their short passing game and the average depth of target passing game, which tends to be shorter, they take away his ability to make big plays themselves. Guess what? Every time you throw a screen, you remove Josh Allen doing something wild in the pocket and throwing it down the field. Then again, in this game, he did that a couple times and just kind of winged it to guys on the outside that could not win.
Yeah,
Keon Coleman could not win on the outside. Amari Cooper could not win on the outside.
I'm having a tough time deciding how much I want to go after their offense for that game because they do score 29 points.
That's right.
Like, they lose in more so, I think, because you were the first team all year that allowed that team to score over 30. The Chiefs had not scored over 30 points all season, and they did it. And, I think the Chiefs' offense was better. Don't get me wrong on the day. But at the end of the day, yards per play, 5.8 to 5.5. Not that far off.
No.
Last year, you know what the difference was last year?
Oh, they got hammered.
7.7 to 4.7. That was a 3-point football game, but yards per play, you lost by 3. And in this game, it was 0.3. Sure, Allen, this is the reason it's tough for me is I don't feel like Allen played particularly well, but I also don't think it really cost them because all the mistakes he made, none of them went into the Chiefs' hands.
Right.
They got away with a lot of the mistakes. They ran the ball really well on that one drive, and that way it kind of felt a lot like the Ravens, right? Except the difference is the Ravens got behind how? By turning the ball over, and the Bills got behind by punting the football, which will go to your point that it's basically the same thing.
Yep.
Second half, it's the same thing. Bills come out in the second half like the Ravens did, smash mouth football, run right down the field, run, and then your tight end lets you down at the end. It was very similar to the Ravens game last week. The only difference is the Bills had the lead at one point in this game, and Baltimore never did.
Right. 22-21 with the ball in Chiefs territory. I was thinking touchdown, and I was thinking go for 2. Tony in Kansas City is next up. Hey, Tony, good morning.
Hey, gentlemen, good morning. It's very nice to speak with you. I listen to, and admittedly, I'm a Chiefs fan. I want to be transparent about that, but I listen to quite a bit of out-of-market radio simply because the coverage here in Kansas City is just – it's feast or famine. You either have the one side that think the Chiefs can do no wrong and the other side that thinks they've lucked themselves into 3 Super Bowls, and neither one are true. And so I started searching out of market, found you guys, and you guys have been by far the best show at the highest quality. So it's nice to finally speak with you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, you bet, man. Here's some common ground we can have as Bills and Chiefs fans is our mutual hatred for the Patriots of 10 years ago. And as much as I despise the whole Belichick, Brady, Patriots dynasty at the time, not to sound like a hypocrite, I found the Chiefs kind of assuming some of that persona in that we would beat the Patriots fairly soundly at times in the regular season. We blew them out on a Monday night here one time, and then we even beat them on opening night, a Thursday night football game, and we would feel really good about our chances for about 8 weeks until one day we look up and say, oh, shoot, we got to go to Foxborough now in January and do it again. And that was the one aspect of this matchup yesterday that I was not hearing. I was hearing, even Bill Cowher, hey, the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season. This is a year to do it. Well, the Chiefs are tough enough to beat once. I mean, it was just a tall task to ask them to do it again. And there is a difference I've learned about this Chiefs team. There's a difference between, and this isn't so much for the Bills as much as the NFL in the aggregate, there's a difference between outplaying the Chiefs and beating the Chiefs. Those are not exactly synonymous. But I thought personally, guys, and this is where I want to get your input, I thought the Bills had a good year. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but I remember listening to you guys and the fans from Buffalo earlier in the year. The sentiment was Diggs is gone. This might be a step back. So my question is, where did the narrative of expectation change? Was it when the AFC East kind of collapsed, or where did that change? But I'll listen to you off the air. And, hey, man, I hope you guys have a better day. Thanks for doing what you're doing, okay?
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
I mean, it changed when they were one of the best teams in football. That's it. You're one of the best teams in football. Go win the Super Bowl. The Eagles, I mean, what are the Eagles? What are the Lions? What are the Ravens? I mean, the Ravens started 0-2 and then got their feet under them. I mean, I feel like there's a little too much paid to, well, we thought this. Who cares what we thought? I thought Josh Allen was not going to be a good quarterback when they drafted him. Then he was. I don't change my expectations based on, well, I thought he wasn't going to be good 7 years ago, Like, I thought this Bills team would be good and make the playoffs and probably win the division, or at least be in a 2-horse or 3-horse race with the Jets or the Dolphins. But, Allen last week said, we heard it all, we don't have any talent. Like, easy. Your over-under on win total was 10.5. They were supposed to be good, and they were good. And next year, they'll do it again. And hopefully next year, it's a little bit, this is where I start to get a little bit ornery about stuff. Hopefully next year, it's a little less about how everyone loves each other so much and a little more about results. A little less about no egos here and a little more about who's pushing you to get better, who's pushing you to be great. Because that got treated like it was a disease. And I hated that the whole time. So here's my ornery part of this. Oh, the coach is more laid back. Who cares? Oh, everybody eats. I don't care. Win. What does it take to win? Oh, we don't think about trading with the Chiefs. We don't worry about that. Worry about it. Think about it. Care about that.
Yeah, think about
traded
today,
them. The guy
possibility of trading with them again. At this
it seems
draft.
absurd. The guy had 85 yards and a touchdown against you.
Yeah. Like, imagine right now, in 3 months, the Chiefs are going to call you and say, hey, we'd like to move up to your pick. We really like a guy. What are you going to tell them?
Right. It was, again.
What are you going to tell them this time?
Listen, they're a good team. They're fine, whatever. But, it's
just these margins.
There's no pressure on them this year. Baloney. It's right back. You made it to the AFC Championship game. Again, you had the ball with the lead. Come on. 803-0550. So, sorry. Thanks, Tony, for the phone call and the kind words. And, I think Bills fans are...
I hate that guy exists. I don't want to like Chief fans today. Enough with the Chiefs fans are nice. Be jerks.
803-0550, our phone number, and 1-888-550-2550. It's Jeremy and Joe. Need more good players. That's what the Chiefs have that you don't. They have more good players than you. The quarterbacks, you want to say that's a wash, that's fine. Start drafting players from there. It's a lot of Chiefs. They have more good players. And the Bills need some more. And that's what the transition, I guess, is about finding those players. 803-0550 to join us. It's Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
Buffalo Bills Football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Yeah, I mean, right now it obviously hurts a lot, and it's going to linger for a while, but eventually, you got to move on, and, hopefully you go from this, and I believe that'll be the case, but for the time being, it's going to hurt a lot.
That's Dalton Kincaid. Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid, 2 catches in this game, a big drop, or 2, and the Bills fall to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
Do you want to let's get stupid?
Very, very fast, yeah.
Very fast.
No, we don't have time. He said we don't have time.
Fire McDermott, hire Spags. Get him out of Kansas City. That's how you get Spags out of there.
All right. We have a wide open segment. We'll buzz through your phone calls. I'll yell things in the air during the break as I did last segment. It'll be a great time. Maybe we yell some of them on the air. It's Jeremy and Joe. It is Buffalo Bills Football Monday, brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Very excited to be joined by Greg Rousseau of the Bills on the West Her Hotline. Ray Davis, Bills rookie running back, here on the West Her Hotline.
The coaches call the West Her Hotline.
Sean McDermott, head coach of the Bills, joins us on the West Her Hotline.
The insiders call the West Her Hotline.
Happy to welcome our man, Ross Tucker.
Al Michaels with us, pleased as always to be joined by Eric Wood.
On the West Her Hotline is Buffalo Bills general manager Brandon Beane.
When the players call, when the coaches call, when the insiders call, the West Her Hotline. Brought to you by the West Her Automotive Group. Welcome to West Her, New York. Sports Radio 550 WGR Buffalo and WKSE HD2 Niagara Falls, Buffalo, 98.5 FM.
An Odyssey sports station.
Broadcasting live from the Just Call Jed studios. Injured? Call Jed.com. This is the official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. The official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550 and WGR550.com. This is a Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update.
Fourth time in 5 years, the Bills' season ends at the hands of the Chiefs. Third of those times that it happened at Arrowhead Stadium. The Bills fall by a field goal to Kansas City. They had the lead in the second half with the ball, and it looked like they got the first down on a 4th and 1 QB sneak. The line judge at the top of the screen had it as a first. The line judge at the bottom did not. Line judge at the bottom marked the ball, and it was short. They reviewed it, upheld it, and Kansas City took the ball over. They win the game. A lot happened between then and the end, but Kansas City wins. They are on to the Super Bowl. They will be going for the first three-peat in NFL history. No team's ever won 3 straight. No team that ever had won 2 straight had went to the Super Bowl in the 3rd year, so they have a chance to do that. And they'll play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles destroy the Commanders in the NFC Championship game. They score 55 on Washington, 3 touchdown runs by Saquon Barkley in the game. Eagles and Chiefs in New Orleans. Joe Brady, the weekend, or some news over the weekend before this Bills-Chiefs game, Brady takes himself out of consideration for the New Orleans Saints head coach vacancy. And with that being the only vacancy, Brady should be back as the Bills OC next season. Sabres are off today. They're in action tomorrow. First of a 4-game homestand, they'll be hosting the Bruins. That'll be at 7 o'clock. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
It's all Bills, all day. Buffalo Bills football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
All kinds of time, rolling left, pressure coming now, and Milano has got him and drops him at the 42-yard line. It's a pitch play to Cook, dives, reaches for the end zone, and he's got it! He is in for the touchdown! What an amazing effort by Cook, who is back in the kitchen! Mahomes on a keeper, has a blocker in front, down to the 5, leaping for the end zone, and he's in. A 10-yard touchdown run by Patrick Mahomes, and the lead goes back to the Chiefs. Allen looking, fires, and it's complete to Curtis Samuel for the touchdown! 4th and goal is good for Buffalo! This is a 35-yard attempt for Buckner from dead center. Snap by Winchester, hold by Ariza, kick is up, and it is good. So with 3:33 left, the Chiefs are up by a field goal, 32-29. Back to pass, they blitz Allen, and he's in trouble. He throws it down the field, and it's dropped. It's dropped. Dalton Kincaid had a chance to catch it, and he couldn't get to the football.
You're listening to Jeremy and Joe on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550.
It is Football Monday, brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. Jeremy and Joe. It was a late night, a long night, a lot of post-game. I took a lot of post-game in. We're chatting about it. We'll talk with Chris Brown at the bottom of the hour. For now, we'll buzz through phone calls. 803-0550, our phone number. I opened the show, Joe, saying like, this is the kind of game that I think will confirm your priors, whatever they were. And what that just means is what you thought before, you probably still think. If you think McDermott's no good, you probably still think that, right? You can't come up with the game plans against Mahomes. If you think the officials are in the bag for the Chiefs, you probably still think that. Some questionable calls along the way. If you think the receivers weren't good enough on this team, you probably still think that. Mm-hmm. If you, what else? What am I forgetting here? If you think that Kyer Elam is no good, you probably still think that. If you think Dalton Kincaid has been a disappointment, you probably still think that. I don't know what you would get out of this game that is new, and that's maybe part of the frustration. Hey, by the way, shout out Tyler Bass. Great kick.
That would be the one.
That was a big one.
That would be the one.
Felt good about that. Great kick. Big moment. Past that, did we learn anything new? If you thought the Xavier Worthy trade was a mistake, you probably still think that.
That's probably right.
Maybe that's new for some people.
Did we learn that their most recent, I don't know if you want to put this on Coleman, he's a rookie. I mean, the rookie on the other side was good. That they've spent their last two draft classes were led off by pass catchers.
Yep.
Who combined for, 3 catches for 20 yards in this game? Like, maybe what we've learned is they've missed on at least one of them, and Coleman was fine. But Coleman is what we thought he was, right? Coleman he's not getting open.
He's not going to separate.
And those jump ball plays are very low percentage plays. Like, if that's his specialty, that's a 25% play. So that's the problem with him as a player, is that's the thing he's good at. The thing he's good at is a low percentage play. I'm now running fade routes, which are never a good idea in today's NFL because that's his specialty. And Kincaid is just, I don't think, good. I don't know how to put it any other way. Like, he was fine in his rookie year. He caught the ball a lot. But what is he good at? What was he good at this year? He wasn't good at getting open. Like, him and Allen were never on the same page. There were plays yesterday where I was watching him, and, like, linebackers having no problem covering him. No mismatch.
Right.
He's supposed to have super strong hands and make tough catches, and everything that comes near him sticks to him, right? That actually did happen a lot last season. This year, I mean, that drop at the end was a microcosm of his season on that front. That was not new. He had... I'm still trying to find if it is the largest drop ever. It might be.
In catch percentage and efficiency?
It's one of, if it's not the biggest drop-off ever, it's one of the biggest drop-offs ever by a tight end in NFL history in catch percentage. He went from over 80% to 58% as a high percentage type of player. That's a disastrous drop-off for him.
We'll get to the defense, too. On the offense, they needed Allen to be Superman, and Superman threw it to Kincaid. I mean, if that's completed, it's still an incredible throw, and Kincaid dropped it. But they needed the best version of Josh, and they did not get that. He was not at his best. He was at pretty good. Mahomes was at his best. And some of the stats on what Mahomes did yesterday are unbelievable. I mean, they are also very believable because he does it to the Bills every year in the playoffs. But Sheil Kapadia had the 99th percentile game for Mahomes in drop-back success rate. One of the best games ever played.
Yeah.
His best of the year, and they always seem to reserve it for the Bills' defense. They don't have answers.
I'd love to see a great breakdown of comparing each of these, because it's again another year where not only do the Bills lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs, where they won in the regular season beforehand. I'd love to see a good comprehensive breakdown of how different are the Chiefs. Like, they run RPO how many times on that first drive against the Bills yesterday? Like, that was how they were getting down the field, and they were attacking Benford before he went out with RPO plays. Did they run RPO in the regular season, or was that something they saved? Like, how much of their playbook, how much of their game plan looks the same from when they play the Bills in the regular season versus how much looks completely different? Because I don't actually know the answer to that question. The results would tell you it is completely different.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it actually is.
Well, this game comes down to a field goal. And again, like 2-point conversions, it comes down to about 5 plays, like these games often tend to.
How different is today and this offseason if they had lost 3 of the 5 fumbles and they lose by like 14?
I would say it's a lot like last offseason had Mecole Hardman not fumbled out of the back of the end zone. They were on track to lose by multiple scores last year without those linebackers. Anyway, 803-0550. We'll get some calls in. 1-888-550-2550. To Scott in Rochester. Hello, Scott.
Hey, guys. Here we are again. There's so many points you could point to, but the one I always come back to is this organization decided to go with a defensive-minded head coach when a lot of other organizations go offense. And here we are again, 7-8 years in, and every big game, especially against the Chiefs, I could very well see the Bengals doing the same next year to this defense. But every year, the defense it's nowhere to be found in the biggest of big games. Yeah, they play well in the wild card round, but past that, you never know what you're going to get, and this is supposed to be your advantage. And once again, Spagnuolo comes out looking like one of the greatest defensive minds of our time, and McDermott is just second fiddle, also ran, and it's very frustrating. The offense seemed to, lose their ways, start slow again, but I always come back to defense. When you have a defensive-minded head coach, this is what you chose. The path you chose was Sean McDermott, defensive extraordinaire, and when you need the defense the most, they're just never there, and it's incredibly frustrating that both the offense and the defense can never get on the same page. It always seems like when the defense is up, the offense is down. The offense is up, the defense is down. And I know Ben from getting hurt was a big knock, but you missed badly on Kyer Elam, and that's what your backup is, just not an NFL player. And again, here we are. Spagnuolo is again looking like the hero, and McDermott's second fiddle. It's frustrating. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott. To this point, I don't think any of that's wrong. They always seem to have answers for McDermott defenses. I kind of want to ask a question, though, right now. Let's play this game right now. Forget what the score is. Would you take AFC Championship game next year? Allen has the ball a minute 55 to go around midfield. Would you take it? Would you take Josh gets one chance to win the game on the final possession? Because, again, this is not a blame Josh point, but what does Spagnuolo do? Spagnuolo, his defense only has to keep the game alive for Patrick Mahomes to finish it off for him. Spagnuolo gave a bunch of points yesterday, 29 points to the Bills, stopped two-point conversions. Both teams scored 4 touchdowns.
It's kind of back-to-back years, though, where Mahomes didn't finish the game off. Spagnuolo did.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is, sure, Spagnuolo deserves some credit. But last year there's a Diggs drop, a Sherfield drop. This year it's a Kincaid drop. We like to sit here and say, had Mark Andrews made that catch, Allen would have driven down the field and gotten a field goal or a touchdown. Maybe he wouldn't. I think he would. But here we are in these moments, and I tweeted this again, not to blame Allen, but there's no doubt in my mind that it is weighing on him right now. Doesn't Josh Allen wake up today feeling like he should have done more, he could have done more, he did something, and he did a lot.
Sure.
But it is back-to-back seasons where they're going to the Super Bowl and you had a drive to beat them. This can be the last drive of the game. We can end it here. You have a drive to beat them. And if you don't beat them, you can tie them. And in neither case did they even tie. Last year, Bass misses the kick. But what happens on third down? We're wondering, why wasn't the ball delivered here? Why did he go for the bigger shot on this fourth down play? It's, he did not look for Shakir. He looked down the field for Dalton Kincaid. I don't know. I'm not out to blame Allen. He's obviously an incredible player. I would just be sitting here. I would never, ever stop giving him the best I could. I wouldn't go to bed until I had a Jamar Chase level player. It's hard to get, I know. But pursuing that. Look at the glow up Allen brought out of Mac Hollins this year. That's not nothing. Mac Hollins, did he always have this level of game? Sure, but the best quarterback brings out the most. And in this game, they kind of got maybe the closest thing we thought they would be at the start of the season. Curtis Samuel played a reasonably big role. Allen throws to receivers. He wants to throw down the field. He wants to be a guy that takes chunks. And on some level, I think they've turned him into a little bit of a point guard, West Coast, this, that, dink, dunk. And every single screen you run, every bubble screen, you remove Josh Allen from your offense. Those are extended run plays. You're just removing him. And I don't know why you'd want an offense that does that. But the offense was good, so I can't really complain.
The offense was good. I mean, the offense only got them into the Super Bowl.
Right, I know.
It's crazy.
That's probably because Allen can run 10 different offenses that can probably get you close to the Super Bowl.
True, yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to do this for the Bills, but the common thread is he plays probably well enough, and the defense is a disaster. They don't have any – like McDermott, they love to make teams one-dimensional, right? The Chiefs were one-dimensional. They couldn't run the ball.
They couldn't run it yesterday. I mean, they've tried every form of offense now, though, haven't they, against this team, and it still doesn't work. Like they had a downfield passing game, and that's 13 seconds. That's when they did. The offense won the game. They should have. They walked off the field with the lead.
Right, but it's they need as many good players as possible. Everybody eats is a lot better when the everybody is A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. Like, everybody eats works, but the Chiefs, everybody eats works a little bit better than the Bills does.
I would argue that
a lot of the teams do it.
Even for the offense they ran, they didn't quite have the personnel that quite fit it. Like, they kind of did. But all these screens and plays that are designed for yak that you saw yesterday, Dawson Knox, okay, he ran to the outside this time. Good job. He didn't get in because he's a tight end.
Yeah.
You're running a tight end screen to your backup tight end. And 3rd and 10 on the final drive of the game, you need a touchdown to win it or a field goal to tie it. And I'm throwing a screen to Amari Cooper, who on a play earlier in the game looked like the slowest receiver I've ever seen. Like, Cooper at this age does not have burst. Like, it isn't there. He could still catch the ball. He could still run routes. But there was a play earlier in that game where he had to turn to the outside and run upfield, and man, not there. And that's a guy I'm throwing a screen to on 3rd and 10 in my biggest drive of the year.
Yeah, 3rd and 10.
Like, these are not people you should be throwing screen passes to.
That's the play.
Kincaid got a screen too. Like, you want to run an offense like that? Where's my Worthy? Where's my Deebo Samuel? Where's my Tyreek Hill Light? Like, you have Shakir. I've got one guy. Maybe the answer is Samuel was supposed to be that other guy.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen this year.
Yeah, the play before Kincaid is a screen to Amari Cooper on 3rd and 10.
Right.
Like, what?
That's the guy I'm throwing. Even if you like the read, how is the screen going to him? Your personnel just isn't perfect for that type of offense. And again, like, they almost got through. They almost won. This playing that way, but
both teams scored 4 touchdowns. Both teams hit a field goal. One team missed two-point conversions. One team got their 2-point conversion. That's the 3 points. That's it.
It still is for me more about the defense. Like, I know,
yes, it is.
It's easier to criticize and go after the offense because you see the play calling, you see the personnel, you see the usage because you do different things. Defense, a lot of times, just you line up and it's a lot of the same players on the field all at the same time. But like, the defense is more of like. Offense, it's easier to specifically break down, I feel like, play to play to play. Defense is more of an overarching. I'm throwing my hands up. I don't know what do you want to attack? You want to attack? DeMar Hamlin was covering Travis Kelce all game.
And then he was covering Xavier Worthy, and neither of those are good ideas.
Right. Like, it looked like they play a lot of man coverage.
Yeah.
And they don't have that. That's kind of maybe the same point as the offense. I don't know that you have you might want to mix that in and have that be your wrinkle against the Chiefs that you haven't done before, but you just don't have the personnel for it. I was the guy, by the way, in watching the game where I'm the Kyrie Elam defender, like, and I'm like, everyone's like, oh man, this is about to get bad. I'm like, no, don't worry, like, he's gonna give up a big play, but he's gonna be press man and he's gonna pick one off. He might give up a big one, and it was just 15 yards off. They weren't like. Never. They were terrified of him.
Bob in Arkansas. Hey, Bob.
Hey, gentlemen. Good morning. We're gutted down here as Bills fans, but like McDermott said, we're a city of winners. We're winners. We're going to dust ourselves off and get going again. And my point is, I understand some subjectivity in the reviews. You know, the Worthy catch, I don't know. Man, I thought the ball moved when it hit the ground, but I don't know. But marking the football and spotting the football in today's day, it's 2025. I can put an air tag on my dog or cat and know within like an inch of the planet and know where they are. They don't know where the football is. You're relying on two guys 25 yards from the ball that are like 5'8", 5'9", with 22 giant people on the line. You can't see the football, and we're relying on them to tell us exactly within a quarter of an inch we're in a playoff game in a multi-billion-dollar industry. Multi-billion-dollar industry as to where this football is. I mean, come on. We got to do better than that. And that was a huge play in the game. And I don't know, was it a first down? Was it not a first down? It looked like it.
Looked like it, yeah.
You got to listen to Gene Steratore tell me I think he got it by a third of a football. I don't care what you think, Gene. It only matters what those two guys think, and they can't see anything.
Right.
Anyway,
I will say, if Gene was the head referee yesterday, the Bills might have won the football game.
They might have. To this point, Bob, thanks for the phone call. This is gonna be an off season, and I hope Bills fans prepare yourself for Nick Wright to make fun of you for it. The NFL will discuss microchip in the football, right? I've already seen an article today. NFL could go microchip in the football.
Pro Football Talk? Maybe already wrote one about it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I watched a soccer game last week where the ball, like the goalie made a save, and then it bounced into the net, and he swatted it out of the air. It never actually touched anything, no netting, no ground.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? Bzz, goal. The referee has a watch. Buzz. Microchip in the ball. Bzz, that's across the goal line. All right, goal. There's no review. It's just we have the technology to do that. And for football, it might be a little different. I mean, my rough draft of what it looks like is the officials would have a monitor where they could see where the furthest point of the ball is, but then they would have to be looking for when's the knee down. Because it's not just where the ball goes to. It's is the knee down? Is the elbow down? Is the shoulder down? I mean, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Should they probably have a better system in place? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Then two guys running from two sides of the field 30 yards away, and they're a yard apart. Shouldn't that in itself mean, actually, you know what, guys? There is no ruling on the field. What's the ruling on the field? I see it at the 40. I see it at the 39. Okay, the ruling on the field is what?
Right.
Fill in the blank. All right. You know what it is? It's kind of like your blended clock.
Blended clock.
That's the blended spot.
Holy
they had a blended
crap.
spot, and then they reviewed a blended spot.
I mean, they did allow that to come into question in the first place because they stunk on sneaks yesterday.
That's true. Which, if you want to say you deserve that, if you can't get an inch or past 2 inches, you open yourself up to maybe this spot is going to stink. Rob in Connecticut is up next. Hey, Rob.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Jeremy. First off, I'd like to say thank you very much for a great season. You guys have always done your job and made it very enjoyable to listen to. Without you, I would not still be listening. The one thing Joe was talking about, Elam, when he did come in, I did cringe. I was one of those fans that was like, And then, Jeremy, you're talking about the clutch. I call it the clutch drive. During the playoffs, we just can't finish that clutch drive. Yesterday, when it was 3 minutes 33 seconds left in the game, I was like, okay, this is it.
There it is.
This is where we're going to go down the field. I had no doubts. And I thought this was going to be the clutch drive. And it's the same thing last year. We had that clutch drive with 2 minutes left in the game. We just can't do it in the playoffs, and that's something that we need to work on. But more importantly, going back, defense, I just hope that we do something off season as far as preparing for the next season with a tighter defense. Our offense is okay, but there's a couple things that we need to brush up on. But once again, guys, thank you very much for a great season. I'm going to be listening. You guys are awesome. And I'm just as disappointed, passionate frustration. I don't have any complaints about whose faults, who did this, who did that. Oh, one other thing, though. The one thing that I kind of was bothered by was when Kansas City got the ball and it was a drive where they went down to kick the field goal. Right before that 15-yard penalty, I thought that killed us a little bit with the face mask.
Yeah.
Yes, that just burned my butt because I was thinking to myself, if we could have hailed them then, we still may have had the chance. But the 3 minutes and 33 seconds, that was the clutch drive right there that we could have walked right off the field. It was right there on a silver platter. So once again, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. to me, it's the context of Mahomes. Should anyone expect to shut that offense down in the playoffs in that spot? The Chiefs did it. The Bengals did it for one half.
The Bengals did it for a half.
And then
the Ravens did it for a half.
A half.
The Texans did it last week, didn't they? They had 212 yards of offense.
That's right.
Like, it does happen.
It does happen.
But it never happens with this team.
Even when it happens, they win. I mean, they're 17-3 in the postseason. 2 of the losses are in overtime, and the other is in the Super Bowl.
Right. And 2 of the games we just referenced where they weren't that great on offense, they won anyway.
Right. 803-0550. With that in mind, that's why I always think I want to have everything I can for the final possession. And I don't think the Bills had enough. Dalton Kincaid is your option, and he's not to be relied upon. And nobody else out there strikes any fear into the Chiefs. The best option you probably had was Shakir behind the line of scrimmage. Like, what's this Bills offense missing? Throws down the field to receivers that get separation. They do not separate. And their way to beat that is to throw behind the line of scrimmage because there aren't defenders there. It's one of the ways they beat that. 803-0550. Okay, Chris Brown, when we return, it's Buffalo Bills Football Monday, brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Call Jed Studios. Injured? Call Jed.com. WGR Sports Radio 550. The official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550 and WGR550.com. This is a Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update.
The Bills season ends in Kansas City. Final score 32-29. The Bills lost Christian Benford very early in this game. Kyrie Elam came on. Chiefs offense had a great day. Xavier Worthy led the way with 6 receptions, 85 yards, a touchdown, and added 2 carries for 16 yards as well. So goes over 100 yards in total. Bills fall by 3 points. They had a chance at the end. 4th and 5, desperation heave to Dalton Kincaid, falls incomplete. Chiefs run the clock out, 32-29. They are on to the Super Bowl, looking to be the first team ever to three-peat. They'll play the Eagles. Eagles dominate the Commanders, 55 points for Philadelphia. 3 touchdowns by Saquon Barkley on the day. They move on to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. Joe Brady not taking the New Orleans Saints head coach job. He pulled himself from the running for that position this weekend. So with that being the only vacancy, looks like he'll be back in Buffalo this year. Sabres are off today. They will be hosting Boston tomorrow for the first of a 4-game homestand. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet Sports headlines. Kickoff 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
Call or text WGR at 803-0550 or post on X at WGR550 and get connected to Jeremy and Joe now. Brought to you by Northtown Kia. Check out the 2025 Kia K4 sedan. Named finalist for the 2025 North American Car of the Year. It's all Bills, all day. Buffalo Bills football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Chris Brown's appearance on WGR is being brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. By Dunn Tire, official tire dealer of the Buffalo Bills. And by the Lockport Outdoor Store, high-impact gear for hard-working men and women.
It's a pitch play to Cook. Dives, reaches for the end zone, and he's got it! He is in for the touchdown! What an amazing effort by Cook, who is back in the kitchen!
One of the calls of the game, highlights of the game, brought to you by Northland Workforce Training Center. Train for what's next. And now we chat with Chris Brown. His appearance brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. By Dunn Tire, official tire dealer of the Buffalo Bills. And by Lockport Outdoor Store, high-impact gear for hard-working men and women. Back from Arrowhead and on the air with us. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
It is a day of disappointment, of course, as you well know. I was thinking about all the different things to start with in this game, and perhaps the most shocking, Chris, is the Bills' inability to execute the tush-push with regularity. Kansas City was ready for it and made as many stops on the Bills in that spot as the Bills had been stopped in a season before, 3 times in one game.
Yeah, short yardage is it's a big thing that's going to stick out as to why they lost this game. Because it wasn't just, the sneaks. It was, the 2-point conversion attempts. They felt it was the best play that they had all season. Sean McDermott said as much after the game, and he was right. It was a very successful play. I did notice when I went down on the field when we first arrived at the stadium that the grass field didn't even look like grass. It was all matted down, and it was literally a rock. And I talked to Eric about it before the broadcast, and I said, is that a concern for traction, especially if you're in a short yardage situation? He said it can be an issue. And the other thing, I know some of the offensive players for the Bills were complaining that Chris Jones was jumping the snap count and lining up in the neutral zone, and it wasn't being called. And that's why on the last one you heard Josh try to hard count it twice in an effort to get him to jump it and get off sides, which he almost did, but ultimately not successful on those plays, and it was critical to the outcome of the game. People are going to remember other plays. Those plays, because there's a handful of them, took points off the board, and in a 3-point game, it's you're going to lose a tight one like that.
What's the play, or maybe it's one of the ones we just mentioned, one of the sneak plays, Chris, that would have you lying awake at night? I mean, again, like there were controversial calls. There was the Worthy catch that, could have gone either way, and I thought was incomplete. There's the first down call we just talked about on the 4th and 1. There's the desperation heave at the end. Like, is there one play that stands out above the others for you?
Yeah, it's a 4th and 1 in midfield. I mean, it's not even close, especially because it appeared like he got it. My only thought as to why it wasn't overturned was because Josh turned sideways, and so on most of the replays, and I didn't see all of them, the ball, at least to me, wasn't visible for the officials to make a judgment call on that, so they just hide behind, indisputable evidence and don't give it to them. But I think the crux of the problem there is we still have, guys standing 25 yards away, running onto the field and saying, here's where the ball was at the end of the play, when there's so much technology where you could digitally map a ball and set up a system there with a digital map on the field. And I know that that's coming in some form, as we heard last year when the league announced that they were coming up with, a tracking technology. But unfortunately, it doesn't come soon enough for the Bills, who I think were victimized on that one for sure.
Chris Brown joining us on the Western Hotline. It's a great day for Patrick Mahomes. Kind of picks apart the Bills' pass defense. The injury to Taylor Rapp, we knew that might be a big deal. Christian Benford leaves this game. And Mahomes, as he always seems to do in the playoffs, Chris, he has the answers. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they have the answers when trying to find open receivers and get plays to keep their drives moving. The Bills had a slow start defensively. There's a fumble that's a bit of a gift. They weren't even facing third downs. It's just, I don't know what the answer is. In years past, it's been about getting Von Miller to get there with a pass rush, and I don't know. I don't know what Sean McDermott's next job is to figure this out, but they've got to find something because they never have the answer for Mahomes.
Right, they don't. And look, getting off to a slow start offensively and defensively, I think it doesn't look like it proved costly because they are able to climb back into that game after being down 11 points. And, you credit the Bills for being able to pull that off on the road in Arrowhead. I think it does speak to how good a team the Bills are to overcome that. But you never want to put yourself in a situation like that in a game of that magnitude, because now you have to work doubly hard just to get back in the game, and you need to be humming on all 8 cylinders from start to finish to beat a team of that caliber at their place. And so that really I think just set them up in chase mode the rest of the game, and that's a hard way to play. So, yes, Patrick Mahomes is on another planet as far as quarterbacking abilities and working his way through a football game. I mean, he just takes his game to another level in the biggest games, and he elevated. It's no knock on anybody else like Josh or any other quarterback. He just elevates to another level that most people cannot reach. And I mean, it's why he is 22-1 in his last 23 starts in which there have been one possession games. And on top of that, I mean, in the playoffs alone, when he is down by 7 points or more, he is now 10-2. So, I mean, the next best quarterback in playoff history is Tom Brady, and he's 10-11. He's not even 500. Mahomes is 10-2. I mean, I think it speaks to just the kind of quarterback we're watching play right now.
Yep.
Chris Brown with us on the Western Hotline. Chris, on the offensive side, how did you feel about Josh's game? There were some reckless plays. I mean, he kind of got away with not having a turnover. It's almost incredible because there were 2 fumbles. There were the plays at the beginning of the game. Did you feel like I asked Sal this earlier, and he kind of agreed? Would you say that he looked a little off last night?
Yes, especially at the beginning of the game. I mean, it's why the offense did not move the ball successfully on that first possession, and he had a couple of airmail balls. And sometimes he's got nerves and he's got to calm down a little bit, especially in a game like that. You want it so bad, and sometimes the adrenaline's pumping through you so much it's hard to reel that back in. And I kind of felt like he was like that early on in the game. I did think he calmed himself down, made some unbelievable seed throws, 2 to Mac Hollins, one of which was the touchdown. The accuracy of that was insanity. And I thought he was clutch. The touchdown pass to Curtis Samuel is a clutch throw. But he just wasn't quite as good as the best quarterback on the planet. And that's tough to live with, but it doesn't mean that he was awful. He just wasn't at his absolute best. And you have to be at your absolute best to beat the Chiefs.
Chris Brown on the Wester Hotline as we shift to, off-season mode. We look back on this game. It'll be remembered for a couple different things along the way. But whatever. It's the Chiefs again. They all blend together. Chris, thanks again so much for joining us all season for a great season, and we'll be listening for One Bills Live.
Yeah, it was fun, guys. It was a fun run. It as I said on the broadcast last night, it didn't end the way any of us wanted it to, and you just got to live for another year, and you just got to hope someday, some way, you're going to get it done because that guy's not going anywhere.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Chris Brown. You can, of course, catch him on One Bills Live as we roll through today. I have a stat of the day. I was going to give you the stat of the day here before we get to a break. It's powered by Empire Electric, your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit empireelectricians.com. Since 2000, teams with 4 touchdowns and no turnovers in a playoff game are 59-3. 59-3.
Okay.
The Bills have 2 of the losses. The third is the Chiefs, who lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game on a coin toss in overtime. But, yeah, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. That is a 59-3 win percentage or whatever, Mark. And the Bills are 2 losses with that.
Sweet.
Yes. We'll get a break in.
It's incredible they didn't lose the turnover battle.
I just saw the final count of turnover-worthy plays.
Oh, it was out? Okay.
4-1. Bills, 4 turnover-worthy plays. Chiefs 1. Chiefs turned it over once.
Wow.
Yep. All right, more of your phone calls. We've got time. The tush-push loss. I don't know if we're going to call it that. This one going to have a name? The time everyone was really confident.
The fourth one.
The fourth one.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, 803-0550, our number on WGR.
It's all On Monday, on the home of the Bills, WGR Sports Radio 550, brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
I expected this. This is why I came here. This is why I wanted to be in Philly. This is why me and my family made a decision to come here. We felt like that we can grow our family name, our legacy, and come out here and compete for championships. And here we are.
Saquon Barkley off to the Super Bowl with the Eagles. It is around the league. That slice of audio brought to you by Picasso's Pizza, your game day tailgating headquarters. Around the league in a dash, brought to you by Dash's Markets, serving Western New York for over 100 years. Shop the family of finer foods. Bills and Chiefs was a game that falls out of the everyone obsessed about turnovers conversation. The Eagles and Commanders falls right in. The Commanders played the sloppiest game you've ever seen in your entire life. And it wasn't Jaden Daniels' fault, really. Nobody could hold on to the ball. And they got destroyed because of it. But for the Bills, not turning it over, not enough. And that's not a surprise to me, really. Then again, they got 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, you'd expect to win. But their defense does not ever have an answer against Patrick Mahomes. One question I think Bills fans, Joe, might ask themselves now is, will you ever feel like they're going to beat them in that spot? Yesterday, my day was full of everybody I know being very confident. Will you ever be confident in that spot again? Not that they can't win, but who's going to pick it ever and not feel like a fool?
I can't imagine. It'd be hard. It'd be very difficult to get back to that. I don't know what would have to happen. If the Bills had a better record and they were here and they'd won the regular season meeting,
okay,
you've had that circumstance.
Yep. I would expect Mahomes to throw for 280 and be fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible. The Bills have to be like a super team, undefeated, with T. Higgins and Myles Garrett on the team. I don't know. I don't think there is a circumstance. It's realistic where anyone would feel as confident as they were yesterday. It felt like it's time yesterday. I wonder if this is what it felt like the morning after the 4th Super Bowl. Just again. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, go out and try and find as many good players as possible. Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. Would a pass rusher have made a big, big difference in this game? Maybe. I mean, you probably needed some help at defensive back, too. We have to break, I'm told. All right. I'm going to do that now. We have a wide open hour and couple of months. You want to talk about it for months? We got time.
A lot of months.
Yeah. So get in now.
I think there's a hockey team that plays locally.
I don't know about that. I'm not so sure.
No? Okay.
It's all WGR Sports Radio 550. The official voice of the Buffalo Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550 and WGR550.com. This is a Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update.
The Bills season ends in Kansas City. It's the fourth time in 5 years the Chiefs eliminate the Bills. The first time in NFL history that one team has eliminated another that many times in a 5-year span. Kansas City moves on to the Super Bowl. The Bills had their chances. They had the ball down 3.5 minutes to go. Turnover on downs and a desperation heave to Dalton Kincaid that did hit him in the arms, but falls incomplete. Chiefs got a first down and kneeled it out from there. They'll move on. They play the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Philadelphia scoring 55 points against the Commanders. 55-23 was the final. Barkley had 3 touchdowns for the Eagles. Chiefs are going to be going for a three-peat, which has never been done in NFL history when they play Philadelphia in New Orleans. Some coaching news. Joe Brady takes himself out of the running for the New Orleans Saints head coach job, and that's the last vacancy, so he should be back with the Bills next year. The Cowboys promote Brian Schottenheimer from offensive coordinator to head coach. Not the most inspiring hire there, but Cowboys have their guy. And the Sabres are off today. They will be in action tomorrow, hosting Boston at 7 o'clock at KeyBank Center. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kick off 2025 with a new Chevy from Paddock.
This Bills team feels a bit like somebody on the PGA Tour in his prime in the early 2000s. There was that Tiger Woods guy you had to deal with. Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes and a whole lot more to go with him, and the Bills fall short again. And you tell yourself that you're going to break through, but that likely means you're eventually going to have to beat this Chiefs team and that guy. And the harsh possibility, I'm not going to say reality because it hadn't proved itself yet, but the possibility is something that Buffalo has already lived. Maybe you just never do.
What? I only got halfway through that. Is it about the Bills maybe will never win? Yeah, shocker. A lot of teams maybe won't ever win. All right. I'm holding space for a lot of things today. One, Josh got that first down. It's tough to watch. It's a first down. He's over the 40-yard line.
The best tweet on that I saw was, unless you believe the ball physically disappeared when it behind the Chief helmet on the one camera angle, then it's a first down.
Right. And if he gets that first down, who knows? Maybe we're mad about something else. Maybe the Bills kick a field goal there. Who knows?
Ooh.
It's 22-21 at that time. They did score again. 22 of 34, 237, 2 touchdowns, 39 rush yards.
And the numbers don't look that bad at the end. There's not a lot of volume. 237, it's almost the same as Mahomes, I guess. He did hit a couple of downfield plays. It's just they kind of the same as last week for me.
It's like the same game.
They last week they maybe went down the field 3 times, and it was there all 3 times, and you got 2 good results out of it. Both games combined, I feel like when they went down the field, it kind of worked. But they just don't do it that often.
Well, they have to go down the middle of the field. Throwing to the side.
That's right. It was the middle.
Throwing to the sidelines is death. They cannot throw to the sidelines.
That's true.
They cannot throw down the field to the sidelines because Cooper and Coleman is just not there.
Right. They're shot plays from whoever's lined up in the slot. Last week it was Shakir. This week it was Hollins twice. I think Hollins both of those big plays, I think he's lined up in the slot.
Yeah, which is a play they've run a lot this year. They ran that in Houston from their own 5-yard line, right? That's one of the shots to Hollins. They also missed him on one earlier in the game. So anyway, they liked him for, I guess, big slot to some degree, which is a spot that Keon Coleman could play in the future. Anyway, million things to get to. Rex Ryan. In the biggest times, the Chiefs are calm because they've been there before, and the Bills flinched. Sure, whatever. They flinched.
Did you feel like, I don't know about that, but did you feel like they were unraveling early in the game?
Yes.
Like, Allen looked frantic. Jordan Phillips is like, taking 15-yard penalties going after Kelsey.
While we're at it, Travis Kelce.
Kelsey was in
Travis
Howard's
Kelce
face.
Walks over and talks trash in a man's face.
True, yeah.
And flops and gets a 15-yard penalty.
Well, Phillips hit him hard in the helmet.
He flopped.
He definitely exaggerated. Yeah.
After talking trash. I mean, I don't care
But
about
it
trash.
felt like the Bills did not have their composure early.
I don't disagree. I thought the game was over until the fumble. When Mahomes fumbled, the game was open. And then, once you get to the lead, okay, don't punt again. I mean, it's not a great life to live thinking you have to win football games by never failing offensively. But that's kind of where I thought they were going to have to live, is never punt again. And they didn't punt that many times after that. It's tough loss. We'll get some more phone calls in. 803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. On some level, we were talking about this in the break, I'm also holding space for, it is not funny. Is it tragic funny? Is it the day the Bills make the trade with the Chiefs, the draft, the next day we come in, and it's, I mean, what's going to happen, guys? You're going to go to the AFC Championship game. That guy's going to score a touchdown, and you have to wear that.
And he's going to lead the game, and, I mean, he had over 100 yards.
And
he was the best weapon on either, I guess Cook maybe, but.
That happened. It actually all happened.
Yeah.
You needed a receiver unbelievably badly. Traded out of a spot. They needed one badly. You gave them the guy they wanted, and then the guy that you took, he's fine, but he's not ready for that game. He's not a factor in that game. The tight end you took the year before. I mean, all roads for me, of course, lead back to the wide receiver train. They always do. When they needed a receiver and they took Dalton Kincaid, that was a mistake. But, okay, fine. Kincaid's going to be a finger quote matchup nightmare. That never happens. That never happened. He's a guy that can catch the ball. Think of him like a receiver. If we did, he'd be a bigger bust than Quentin Johnston. We have to think of him like a tight end because as a receiver, he'd be a monster bust. His numbers are never impressive. And then he drops a pass. Best pass catcher in the class, they said. Puka Nakua's in that class. I'm not expecting you to know he would be better, but the Kincaid thing has never really worked out the way that I feel like they thought it would.
Oh, it's not even. I mean, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison also have both developed into great receivers.
JSN, right there.
JSN. That ended up being a pretty good receiving class.
Those are three great receivers, good to great receivers that they probably could have used and needed. And instead, they went the tight end route, and, it's fine. It's fine. Everybody eats. And again, they probably should have won. I mean, maybe they should have won. I don't know. Defensively, they're a mess.
Defensively, they don't deserve the
right.
They should have won mantra.
I had somebody text in, and there's no way to be right or wrong about this. My own feel on it is, I don't think anything is different if Benford plays. They just throw to somebody else. They were throwing to Hollywood Brown on Benford, and they were not afraid of that. And on the first drive, Benford's on the field for the first drive. They go right down the field. And it's not an issue for them. So, whatever. He had one pass break up, and he might have made life a little tougher on them. What, instead of the 99th percentile of success rate, Mahomes would have been at like 98? I don't think Benford makes a difference.
Maybe. It's possible. I mean, Elam was playing so scared.
Okay.
I mean, maybe you're at least making it harder on them a little bit.
Rasul Douglas is not really offering much anymore either. He got cooked by Juju over the middle.
By Juju Smith-Schuster. The dude who's got a degenerative knee problem. Which is why he got cut by the Patriots, because they thought his knee was shot. His knee might be shot.
They would match up Hamlin on Worthy. He can't keep up. They'd match up Hamlin on Kelsey. Hamlin's going to hold them all day.
That's the thing.
Like they have too many players for the Bills to try and cover man, and they're too fast for the Bills.
The Bills, I would say on both sides of the ball, are just slow. And that's been somewhat purposeful. Part of it is Elam, right? Like, Elam was supposed to be their speed on defense. That was supposed to be their athlete. Him being bad is why, you don't have as much speed back there. And they obviously didn't trust him, and I would say the way that game was going, probably rightfully so, they did not trust him to just line up and press a guy one-on-one. They were terrified he's going to get beat. And when he was pressing, he took a holding penalty. So, you're just slow. That team, I think it's more about, the Worthy trade to me was more about you just don't do business with that team. That's the one team you are, these other teams aren't in the same league as you. You want to trade down with Carolina? Fine. They're not in the same league that you are.
Yep.
Kansas City is. And when you give them that player, that's to me the bigger problem. But I just want them to want a guy like that. I want them to want a speed demon that you just can't keep up with. And there's not a guy like that on either side of the ball for the Bills.
803-0550. Next up, Jeffrey in Tonawanda. Hey, Jeffrey.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
All right.
Good. Hey, I'm going to try to get to a point, so just give me a little bit of opportunity. Taking a look at this whole thing over the last 4 years, you can say 13 seconds. You can say that he made the first down and everything else. But what's the common denominator here? Josh has made this team look good, and a lot of coaches look good, especially our three, now count them, three offensive coordinators with very little NFL experience. Now, McDermott, he's still a subject for another day. But he's learned on the job over the 8 years of poor Josh. But what's happening is we got educated and we got put in place by Andy Reid for the third time. And I'm saying to ourselves, maybe Joe Brady does have a great future. And I'm all for Joe Brady because he showed me something that we haven't seen in a while. But we're not innovated. And if we are counting on a tush-push all the time, and we don't come up with plays. I watched the replays this morning. Mahomes walked in twice for a touchdown.
He did.
So, when I look at this, the common denominator is look at McDermott. Get yourself a seasoned offensive coordinator. Look at that combination in Kansas City.
Well, the combination,
and
Jeffrey, to be honest, the combination in Kansas City is, yes, but I almost think I want to disagree. What the Bills need is a defensive guy. I mean, not as a head coach. They need someone to run the defense that has ideas, answers. That's what lets them down. I mean, Allen has proven to almost be coordinator-proof. He's almost proven to be receiver-proof. He's great no matter what the offensive line is. If they can't protect him, he can get away. If they can protect him, he can take time. He elevates everyone around him. Allen does everything. I mean,
right. I totally agree with that.
But when I'm saying, you're saying get an offensive coach, sure, fine. That's like saying the Bengals need an offensive coach. Their offense is not their problem. If you want to keep Joe Brady and have that be the way they run their offense, sure. What the Bills need is STOPS. Stops. Almost spit there. Stops. Get stops. Can anybody get a stop? Can I have a playoff game against Patrick Mahomes where his QBR is like, 60? Instead of 99? Can he not be the best quarterback on earth for 3 hours? He sets his own records. That was the best game he's ever played on success rate. 99th percentile. Like, you want an offensive coach. Okay, great. Who's the coordinator he's signing? If the point is you want an offensive head coach to keep continuity on the Josh Allen side of the ball and cycle in defensive coordinators, well, that's a cheat code. And it's especially a cheat code if your defensive coordinator doesn't want to be a head coach again. Guess what? 2 teams have that right now. The Eagles and the Chiefs. They both have that. Where their defensive guys are not going to be head coaches. Right? I don't think.
No.
Anyway. The Eagles have Vic Fangio in the mix.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
Vic Fangio is their defensive coordinator. He's not going to be a head coach again. And Steve Spagnuolo, probably not going to be a head coach again. You know who else has this going the other way? And again, we'll see if it ever works. But the Patriots now have an offensive coordinator that won't be a head coach again. Is there an advantage in there to finding a staff that won't get poached? There's probably some advantage. And that's something the Chiefs have. Who'd they lose? Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy along the way?
And it's how long did it take them to lose Bieniemy?
Right.
Bieniemy was there forever. I mean, it was a thing that he didn't.
And they're fine because they have Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
And, I think they outcoach the Bills pretty much every game that they play in the playoffs. Certainly in this game, they outcoach the Bills.
I saw a stat from yesterday's game that Mahomes, in the 5 years since he injured his knee on a QB sneak, other than kneel downs, 3 design quarterback runs, 4th and 2 in overtime in the Super Bowl, twice last night. 4th and 1, and the touchdown they scored last night.
You got run on by a guy with a bad knee.
You got run on a guy that they don't like to run.
Yeah.
And, he'll scramble. He'll run a lot with scrambles, but, I mean, that touchdown, a read option that he goes out to the right, and then he powers through.
His touchdown runs were not difficult plays for him. Those were not,
no.
Josh Allen leaps over a guy. They just get him in clean. Aaron, driving back from Kansas City. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad.
So, I was just saying, you guys do the name that Raven, name that Chief. I would say name that Bills defensive lineman, because they invest so much free agency capital and so much draft capital into like Trent Murphy, Star Latulele, Mario Addison, Shaq Lawson, Boogie Basham, and it's like, does any of them, except for like 10 games of Von Miller before he tore his ACL, where's our Chris Jones? So I'm all for the wide receiver train, but we'll probably draft another defensive tackle or a defensive end that won't end up being anything. Well, thanks for taking my call, and hopefully fire Kevin Adams.
Thanks, Aaron. I think they will definitely draft a defensive tackle in the first 2 rounds. It's a very heavy defensive tackle class, like very good class for defensive line. And Von's going to leave, and you're left with Rousseau and Epinesa. So, like, I'm preparing myself for the first 2 picks being defensive tackle, defensive end. I think it's very possible.
Unless they're getting Max Crosby or Myles Garrett.
But they actually don't invest a ton in the defensive line. Edge, yes. Edge, yes. Tackle, no. Star Latulele was a 5-year deal 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and he was good. He was fine. They do not invest in that position. Who are your defensive tackles in last night's game? Who are they? Jordan Phillips, who came back after being cut loose on the free from Dallas.
Vet minimum.
Like, check your depth chart.
Dwayne Carter, who wasn't even active.
Draft pick was inactive. They do not invest a lot. Trent Murphy and Mario Addison, like, these are the Leonard Floyd level signings that are, that's like, it's not quite the same as Curtis Samuel, but it's
Von.
Let's hire a guy. Yeah, Von's the big investment.
Von is the investment. They spent $100 million to get a premier pass rusher. So,
and and he was old, and they got about a half a season out of him being elite, and that was about it. So
they wanted to do that, and they never really got the fruits of that.
Yeah.
Are they not? I mean, they could draft one, but I don't know. They've tried drafting one at the end of the first round. Like, you're expecting to get a premier pass rusher there? You might. TJ Watt was a late first-round pick.
Yep.
But I don't know. The way Bean operates, we have months to get to this, but I feel like Max Crosby and Myles Garrett are the 2 names. They are premier pass rushers that are both rumored to be available.
I'm going to try and find the cap hit the Bills have in their defensive line. Like, how much do they have for 2024? Again, and it comes down to, for me, having great players. Do you have great players or not?
Right.
How many do the Bills have? How many great players?
1.
They have 1.
One truly
great. I think
truly great.
Dawkins is good to great. Spencer Brown's very good.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry, Dawkins. I would put Dawkins in the great
James
category.
Cook is good to great.
Yeah.
But on the defense,
they have a lot of good players.
This is where, it's...
Like Rousseau, I saw a lot of, Rousseau did not have a good night. Rousseau is falling down on plays where he's supposed to be keeping contain, and then Mahomes is getting out and he's getting loose for a 12-yard scramble. Like, Rousseau maybe had one of his worst games of the season. And, that's fine. He's not a superstar. His expectation is not he's got to dominate the football game. But that's where you're at. He's pretty good. Rousseau is pretty good. You have a lot of those. And that's a big game where you need a monster performance from your best players on defense, and your best players on defense are only pretty good. So you might not get it.
Yeah, we'll get more phone calls in. There's more to say all that, but, like I said, we do have months. John in Virginia. Hey, John.
Hey, guys. How you doing? I reached out to you at the end of last week, and I wasn't able to get a hold of you, so I messaged you. And I get it. I know our defense fails every time of the year at this point. But at the same time, we had the ball, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. And, for 2 years, I've heard you guys banging the table for speed wide receiver, banging the table. And every single year, they pass on speed. And I mentioned to you that I was worried that this was going to come back to bite us, and you even mentioned it previously a few minutes ago. You mentioned it. We have receivers that can't get open, and I almost feel like they are trying to put a square peg down a round hole, and we have a generational talent like Josh Allen, and not taking advantage of that incredible arm and trying to go. I get it. We need a running game. I get it. Cook is awesome. But you're trying to go big, and you want to dink and dunk the ball down the field. And Keon Coleman, when is he going to be open? When Josh Allen scrambles around for 10 seconds and then they loft it up in the air and they do jump ball? Is it just going to be an offense based on dinking and dunking and jump balls? Why don't if you switch that around and we give them Keon Coleman and we have Xavier Worthy, does that have any impact on that game? I can almost bet it does, because when we have that ball with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left and we have no receivers that can get open, it makes a huge difference. And Matt Collins, he got open, but
he didn't.
He wasn't really open.
He wasn't open. No, it was a perfect pass. We led the stat earlier today that Josh Allen. Thanks, John. Thanks for the phone call. You got me on something here that I said to Joe in the break I want to bring up. Matt Collins, the touchdown pass at the end of the first half was with less than a yard of separation. Next Gen Stats pointed out that Josh Allen led the league in passing yards to targets with less than a yard of separation. Like, Allen is amazing. And he doesn't have these wide open receivers running all over the field, or guys that can separate, or guys that are so fast that when a backup corner goes in, he's 13 yards off because he's living in fear.
Yeah.
I don't know if Worthy makes this team different. We'll see. You know who does? I said this to Joe in the break. Imagine this team, this exact same team with Brian Thomas Jr. Like, that's perfect. That's great.
Been amazing.
That's it. Brian Thomas Jr. Not expensive. I mean, you would have had to trade up to get him. But you traded up for Kincaid. You traded up for a lot of players. They do. Anyway, this team with Brian Thomas Jr. You don't make the Cooper trade. Instead of the Cooper trade, you just trade up for Brian Thomas Jr.
Would have been really nice.
Would have been really nice. He does everything. Everything.
Yeah. That screen to Cooper on 3rd and 10, maybe it's a first down.
Maybe he pops the top off.
At least more likely to.
He does everything. And whatever, their offense was not really a problem a lot this year. I'm guilty. I'm saying this over and over again, confirming my priors. My biggest concern about this team was, will they be able to pass it when they need to? And yesterday, I didn't think they could.
They were okay.
237 on 34 attempts. It's not really that big a day.
They just stopped. They just weren't calling enough plays downfield. They were working, right? Like, they were there.
Over the middle, they were there. Down the sideline, they have nothing.
Keep attacking. That's supposed to be what they're good at, right? Like, well, it's supposed to be the tight ends. And the tight ends aren't very good at it.
Right.
So that's the weird thing, is Hollins was the one doing it, and Shakir. But, like, Shakir, where are these Samuel plays? Samuel looks like he's good at getting open.
Last year, he could get down the field, and they don't really move him too far down the field.
And I don't know. Like, I wanted to see them call more plays doing that. Cooper even had a couple. They weren't like crazy, like they were 10-yard throws. They weren't like 30 yards down the field. Again, like you're pointing out, it's the middle. And you're kind of constrained to that because on the sidelines, you don't have anybody that can win one-on-one. Cooper was supposed to help you with that, but that really never fully got going. He's not the same player. I mean, it became evident more and more that he's still good. He's still a good route runner. He's a good technician. I think you saw him in the slot a couple of times, get open on those slants. Like he can still do some things. He made great contested catches for them. I mean, that touchdown against the Jets, the one against the Chiefs in the regular season, like he still gave you value. The one thing he did not give you was an ability to get open on the sideline. None of those plays from Cooper this year, he was open.
A lot of tight windows.
Yeah.
803-0550, 1-888-552-550. John does bring up a point, though, that is worth mentioning. It's another year with the ball, offense, chance to win, no points. Hey, 803-0550 to join us on WGR.
It's all Bills, all day. Buffalo Call Jed Studios. Injured? Call Jed.com. WGR Sports Radio 550. It's all Bills all day. Buffalo Bills football Monday on the home of the Bills. WGR Sports Radio 550. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Extra motivation playing against the Bills today.
Hey, man, I said it once. They skipped on me. That's their loss.
As Xavier Worthy? Listen, it's,
yesterday it was. You can't really argue with it.
That's right.
I actually did appreciate there weren't as many jokes about it as I thought there would be.
Like on the broadcast?
About how, hey, the two dudes that are beating you just gave to them.
Well, I mean,
I know it's no different circumstance. Just like the fact remains that, But again, no one really was pointing that out.
Right. I don't waste a breath to like you gave them Mahomes. Like that's fine.
But they did.
True. They traded up in that spot.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Maybe don't trade with them again.
Ever again, please.
Maybe this year you don't.
Ever again. And wait, other way, if they want to trade down with you. Wait, that wouldn't be possible though. Because you'd never be you'd have to beat them in the playoffs, I think, to have that be true. Unless in the second round somewhere.
Mickey in Connecticut. Hey Mickey, what's up?
Hey guys, thank you for taking my call. It's been a while since I called, so I had to chime in. So, I'm not going to go ahead and scream what I'm sure every fan is thinking, but let's go over a couple tidbits. How many times are they going to call us short when we were not short this game? It's just ridiculous. That interception, okay, fine, it wasn't an interception, but it should have been an incomplete pass, 100%. Anybody with eyes could see that. And yes, that was 100% a first down. But we're not, like I said, I'm not going to scream what everybody I'm sure is thinking in their head. But you know what I will say, and this is a hot take. I know everybody's screaming for our head coach and his job, but I would even go as far as Bean instead, because Bean, how many drafts, including trading with them, not just once, because let's be honest, they traded once with them and they got Patrick Mahomes that first time. This is the second time they trade that burns us. But all the trades you've been doing as of late, they just don't pan out. Like, what is going on with and the scouting team? And Bean, you got to do better trades, man. If not, we're not going nowhere. It's just that simple. And I'll leave with this. Josh, I love you. I don't blame you, but I knew he was going to do a hard count. And I think everybody knew he was going to do a hard count. But you call a timeout. You call a timeout when the hard count doesn't work out. You game plan properly, because this was the game. So what? You had 3 timeouts. You don't give him the ball back. We know this. This is 4 times. You don't give him the ball back. You do a hard count. You take a timeout. Maybe do another hard count, and then finally.
Well, you can't waste timeouts. You can't kill your timeouts there.
I hear you, and I agree with you normally. But when we're playing the Chiefs and we've been burnt so many times by the fact of just giving them the ball, I would have called the timeout. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I just
thank you guys.
Thanks, Mickey. I don't want to kill. I don't want to use timeout because they're going to need them to try and stop them on the next possession if you don't get it, which they nearly did.
On which one? The
very
one?
last possession. It's 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
Like if you get a sack there, or if you get them down on the ground, what are they going to do? They going to go for it? Maybe. I mean, they did have to get 2 first downs, and they did get 2 first downs.
Yeah. I also understand why anyone would think like they're just going to get the first no matter what. So what's the difference? That's a weird use of timeout, though. I feel like I'm wasting it.
Yes.
To hard count it.
Brandon on a cell. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, guys. So, 42 years on this earth. Most of that has been being a diehard Bills fan. I clung to that when I lived out of state. It basically was my identity, my email address that I give to people, sparks the conversation and everything. And, I obviously love this team through and through, good, bad, whatever. Today hurts. Today sucks. Couple points that have me concerned is, with the way things went down, obviously everything lined up for us. We had some easier paths, I believe, because of, the Bengals kind of went into disarray. basically like imploded, injuries or otherwise. The Texans, they beat us early in the year. We were still figuring things out, I get that, but they started to get decimated by injury and stuff, and they still almost ended up beating the Chiefs last week. And then even Kansas City, I've been, cautiously optimistic even since that home win against them because, they had some injuries. Obviously, Rice was gone by then. And now next year, Rice will be back, presumably healthy, to play with Worthy, who is getting better and better. Hunt, is he going to stick around? Or is he just like touchdown Lenny? Is he just going to be around and just keep, 1-year contracts here and there? But if he sticks around, look, he's doing way better than Pacheco, and Pacheco is supposedly back and healthy. That 1-2 punch that we're going to have to face next year. As far as the coaching, McDermott, obviously he's a great dude. Morale, that's great, but high morale only gets you so far. And I know that he doesn't physically call all of the plays, but he is the head coach. He is the one who has chosen his coordinators. He is the one who has relegated those duties to the coordinators. Everybody talks about him being a great defensive coach. That's why we got him. That was his persona from Carolina. Does he just take that back over somehow? Something has to change, or he needs to go. One of those things. And I honestly don't think, D coordinator, I don't think he has to go. I don't think that he physically made bad calls. Everybody has talked about it over and over this morning. The personnel, Elam. As soon as they, I saw, whatchamacallit, take the hit on the sideline, and when he got up wobbly, you're just like, oh my God, there we go. Yeah. And Benford, Elam. As soon as they said Elam was coming in, I said, all right, well, that's a liability happening, and it was just over and over and over, beating a dead horse. I know, but yeah. I think and it's super early. I get it. The draft ain't till April, but I don't know what else to do besides defensive back, and wide receiver. I don't know. I don't really see problems with everybody else. I don't know the salary cap. I don't know whose contracts are where, but those are the glaring things, the coaching and the defensive backs.
Thanks, Brandon. One thing I'll wonder about this, and, this might be, like most points, this might be a stupid point, but what will be the message of next year's team? Because this year it was a fixation on how everybody eats. It's all about all of us. Pressure's off. This team loves everybody loves everybody. Things that they've said that for years, but I feel like fans really bought into a lot of that stuff. And they made the AFC Championship game. And what will the expectation be next year? Oh, you go back there and go do it again. Mm-hmm. Like the pressure, there's not a second transition year. There's not you're not expected to be good. Everyone's counting us out. None of that. So what will the message be? What will McDermott's message be? What will Allen's message be? How does that – and when I say that, the message doesn't shape the offseason. The offseason happens, and then they, put the slogan on it. Everybody eats was, hey, Diggs is gone, and it's going to be okay. And it was-ish, right? We're kind of having the same conversation. They went around farther and lost to the same team in the same way they always do.
Right.
So I don't know. I wonder what are going to commit big money to somebody. They're going to redo Josh's deal.
They have a pretty aggressive general manager, and they have a lot of money available to them. Wouldn't you think something along the lines of all in is what it is?
Maybe.
I don't know what the big move is. Is it a pass rusher? Are they going to go pay T. Higgins? Are they going to do some what it is? But it's early. I can't believe that their roster would not be improved from now to the next time they play the Chiefs.
Right. The point of taking the cap hit for Diggs was to eat more of the,
eat it this year.
Yeah, take more of the medicine.
Yeah.
They don't have
and they did that with other guys too.
Yeah. They don't have a ton of cap space next year. Now things could change and the cap will will go up.
$23 million isn't on there right now that is going to be Von Miller getting cut. And Allen, I think they can restructure again this year, or they might just give him an extension or a pay raise, which will actually create cap space in a backwards way. There'll be things that they can do, and the cap will go up. So
they're going to save $8 million on Von. If they cut Von, they save $8 million.
That's it.
That's it.
I thought it was in the 20s.
His cap hit is 23. The dead cap is 15.
Oh, the cap hit is 23. Okay.
Yeah, the dead cap is 15.
Okay.
They'll save $8 million there. Where else do they save money? Milano I think he's probably back.
Will they restructure Milano, though?
Maybe.
Because of where he's at in the deal? They'll cut Kyrie Elam, I bet.
Yeah.
That's got to be
They
over.
could save $3 million on Epinesa if you want that. I don't know. It's not fun.
It stinks.
Here I was thinking,
Stinks.
Let's talk Super Bowl. Instead, it's like I called Mike Giannitti from Spa Track. All due respect, Mike. Sorry. Like, what's the cap look like? I don't know. Is it T. Higgins? Probably not. I wouldn't think so. But they're going to need somebody else.
They're going to want what they wanted from Cooper, but better, aren't they?
They have to get better than Cooper.
They wanted Cooper. Like they showed their motivation. They want a guy like that, and they wanted probably better than what he was.
It is kind of funny, like if you think about Cooper and what he was, we need to make a change here because we need credibility on the outside. If he had been signed for $20 million,
like past this year,
yes,
that'd be tough.
No, not even just extended. If he came in on a 1-year, $20 million deal, which is what his salary was this year.
Yeah.
We would look at that acquisition and what he did and say, woof.
Yeah.
A $20 million receiver, and he did not really produce. A first-round tight end, and he did, I guess, whatever. We can't get mad at the offense. The defense let them down. I don't want to get mad at the offense. I don't want to do this. The defense was a disaster. People are going to write me emails all day about how could you let the defense off the hook? I'm not. I don't know what they're going to do. They need more good players.
They're going to
film at 11.
Wouldn't you think their offseason is going to consist of, like, very early preview, is they're going to add one receiver somewhere, maybe free agency, maybe they're going to draft a guy in the second round.
It'll be Elijah Moore.
Elijah Moore. Well, I might hope a little bigger than that. But they'll do one receiver, and then everything else is going to be on the defense.
Yes.
They don't need tight ends. They don't need linemen. They don't need running backs.
No.
They need one. They have receivers under contract. Like Coleman's back, Samuel's back, Shakir's back. I mean, they're definitely paying Mac Hollins on a 1-year deal, aren't they? Like a $3 million deal. That's 4 receivers. Like everything else is settled. Trubisky's under contract. Everybody's under contract.
Yeah.
They'll add one receiver, and then every other asset this summer is going to be on the defense.
They're going to need a new Milano, right? Because they can't imagine that's going to go too much farther. The injury history there. Safety will be big.
And they're going to, you mark my words, they are going to take a massive swing on some pass rusher.
Yes, they are. It could be the Rousseau Boogie Basham again.
But even like this gets back to my overarching thought about the game is you're never going to have the X's and O's advantage over those two coaches. So the only way you make up for that, or one of the only ways, unless you think Allen's going to just severely outplay Mahomes in a game, is your roster has to be better than theirs. You can't go in on par on talent because then you're going to have to believe that you're going to lose it because they've got Reed and Spagnuolo. The reason you say Spags is his last name is a mouthful, even as an Italian.
Yeah, Spags. Well, hire him as the head coach to get him away from the Chiefs. It's not the craziest idea.
Come on, somebody. We're Raiders. They're Carroll?
Pete
is that
Carroll.
official?
Yeah, it's Pete Carroll.
I mean, the Cowboys are hiring Brian Shaw. Somebody, please. Yeah. Hire him away.
Extendo Sports coming up, then Sal takes over with the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show here on WGR.
Guaranteed. WGR Sports Radio 550. 2020 Sports.
Extendo Sports.
Ooh. Don't look at the screen.
Okay.
They took it down. Trivia. This is the fourth pair of quarterbacks to meet twice in a Super Bowl. Who are the others?
Ooh. Peyton Manning and Russ. No, wait. Wait a minute. Hold on. So Kelly and Aikman.
Yep.
How many were there?
There were 3 others before this one.
3 others. Brady must have had a repeat somewhere.
He did.
Brady and Eli.
What's that?
Brady and Eli.
Correct.
All right. I'm gonna try and help out here.
You want the other one?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Now, what'd you get so far?
I got Brady and Eli and Kelly and Aikman.
There's only one more.
It's got to be the Steelers and Cowboys, right?
I believe so.
Bradshaw and not Staubach.
Bradshaw and Roger
Staubach?
Staubach or Danny White.
I was going to say, Staubach still the quarterback?
No.
Bradshaw and Staubach only met once in 1976.
Ooh. Is there a Niners repeat in here?
I don't think so.
Montana and no.
Montana and Elway met once.
And then it was Young.
The bad news is they put it on the screen. They took it down before I could commit it to memory. So somebody out there have the answer.
Okay.
Hold on, I can find it very quickly.
Elway and somebody maybe.
Oh. No.
Who is it?
That's all right.
It's got to be Steelers and Cowboys. They were back-to-back years though, but so I thought it would have been them. But I thought it was maybe it wasn't back-to-back years. So because they had met a couple times.
Hold on, I gotta look through.
Anyway, hey Sal, you excited about the show? A show today?
It's tough, man.
It's tough.
Staubach and Bradshaw met twice.
Okay, there you go. Staubach and Bradshaw.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Yeah, I mean it's the finality of it, right? That's the thing. Like I'm literally sitting in the Bills radio booth right now, looking at the stadium.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they're taking a goalpost down on one end. There's just a bunch of snow. Like, I don't have to remove it right now. You know what I mean?
So locker clean out, is that what happens next?
Yeah, 11:30 today. So
Okay.
I'll be on here. I'll be hosting Extra Point Show today until 11:30, and then I will head over to the locker room to meet with some players on media availability. You never know who you're going to get. A lot of times we don't really get many people because they are in and out with their exit interviews and things like that. So we'll see. And then... yeah, we'll see where it goes. Well, at some point, we'll hear from Sean McDermott and Brandon Beam, but usually that's not today. But we'll find out.
All right, we got to run to get you to your show on time. Thanks, everyone. Nothing drives home the end of the season like shifting from Super Bowl parades to dead cap hits. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I see the light. What is it? Happy train season. Back tomorrow.